And we're off.
And welcome to Upon the Blood Red Sand, episode 2, where our intrepid heroes have found themselves stranded upon the planet Mars, have ran into red Martians, been picked up by their airship and shown a good time, but not too good of a time because that would be, it's World War I, so there are still some social dignities to address.
Oh,
there.
come on.
You know, out in Cairo. But they had dinner and celebrated with the celebrated with the captain of the airship, who goes by the name of Gress Vaughn. He is a Jed of the city-state of Beltan, or the Confederacy of Beltan, as he referred to it. During which time, during the festivities, our intrepid Baldric Hawkins, corporal and medic, decided to charge the windows with his bayonet, which subsequently broke and cast him across the deck, surprising him, but not the Red Martians. Drinking ensued, feasting, and eventually falling asleep. And that is where we left the last time. So, as the sun bursts through the windows of this airship directly into your face, waking you all up instantly, you find yourselves in your cabin. The hum of the airship around you, unlike that of a regular ship that you have been on before, and you're feeling almost buoyant, as if you're almost floating in water. What do you do? Let's start with Sergeant Terrence Hawthorne, leader of this intrepid group. So,
Terrence Hawthorne. You said, was I given the largest cabin of the three of us?
You were given a cabin by yourself.
Okay.
The other two actually were sharing a cabin.
Oh, okay. So when the light stabs daggers into his corneas when he wakes up there, because it's so, abruptly bright. He had been sleeping with his trench knife in his hand across his chest. That has somehow slipped about the sheets of his bed and kind of rolls around, finds it that actually had fallen to the deck below. He puts that on his nightstand.
As you roll around, you find yourself on the floor as you remember, gravity seems to be a bit different here.
Oh, so yes,
small movements, yes.
Then if that is the case, then I'll find the knife, place it on the nightstand, and haul myself to my feet and just kind of look at what the state of the bed that I was supposed to have been in. Clearly, it's been slept in. I have to learn not to toss and turn in my sleep. Then
it's actually probably the first bed you slept in for quite some time. Actually,
he looks longingly at it, like, ooh, that's pretty. Just sleep. He's used to a cot in a dugout in northern France, actually, or a hammock in some dusty, sandy rat's nest in Egypt. He goes about his morning ablutions. He's no longer shaving, and he's got a bit of a 2-3 day growth there. Do I have a mirror?
As you look around, you can find a mirror, yes.
Okay, I'm assuming there's like maybe a small like vanity thing. He'll clean himself up, put his hair in a ponytail, that sort of thing. I'm going to check if my 1911 is still in the actually under my pillow, and it's loaded.
It is.
Okay, I essentially dress myself, the gun in the holster under his armpit. If I remember correctly, my cabin is kind of joining theirs, as not having to go out into the hallway in the
Yeah,
next
there
door. I can.
is a door between the two cabins. Yes.
I'm not gonna knock. I will, however, I'll open the door and then crack it, and I will listen for the sound of snoring
Okay.
or sleeping.
So, what do we see at this moment of Corporal Hawkins?
Corporal Hawkins has, well, woken up with the sun, as he is often prone to do, and remembering that he is, when he finds himself on a bed, he finds that a little suspicious and jumps out. Because last he remembers, he was in a sand pit.
As you jump out, you actually impact the ceiling.
With that, I will then open. Basically, I'll go into the room. Yeah.
That is quickly followed by loud cursing as I impact the ceiling and hit the deck.
Good morning, mate.
And with that, Private Fergal McGuire will most definitely be awake.
I would imagine that Fergal, being that he went to sleep soon after cleaning his gear, he's having a moment of flashback of a dream of Basic, and he's hearing the call, the bugle being blown, and he rolls off the side of the bed, and without even realizing it, he's gripping the side of the bed like he would normally, and then he pushes off, not like pushing, just strides over to his uniform because he set it out meticulously the way he did in Basic, and he just starts putting his stuff on real quick and goes back to the deck and begins putting on his boots, the whole time not really realizing it because he's in the mode. And it's at that moment that he goes to grab his rifle, and that's when he realizes his face just pales, and he's just like, fuck, it wasn't a dream.
Especially as he's sort of bouncing around the cabin doing all that.
Well, he was in the moment. He was
if he does that, roll out of bed and take a regular stride toward where he would go instead of the gentle strides that are required on Mars, he probably would have wound up in the wall. I'm
thinking he was probably holding the side to the point that he didn't lift up, and then he kind of shuffled like that morning foggy.
Oh, okay. That's fine. So, you do find though that the rail on the bed has a distinct bend in it now. From when you got up, you actually used probably to arrest momentum unknowingly, and it caused the actual rail itself to bend just a bit. So,
it's because I'm so heavy. Mom always said I was well endowed, unlike my other siblings.
And so, as this is going on, you see the door adjoining your cabin to the sergeant's crack open, and you see Baldric launch up to the ceiling and bounce off and hit the deck.
I stride into the room and I shout, "Dugout, tension!" Big shit-eating grin on my face.
And he's looking up at Hawkins, and he's just like, draws to attention, and then...
I wasn't being serious, boys. We're not in England. We're not in France. We're not even in Egypt anymore.
They'll always be in our hearts, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
You can take that out of us, but you can't just... But this place is beautiful. It's not... He'll kind of muse to himself. Like, he'll kind of describe the Arabian Peninsula, the Rub al Khali. And he says, but this is red, not this golden color that I'm used to.
And with that comment, you notice that the light coming through the porthole gets shadowed, as if something's passing between you and the sun.
My reflexes, I half draw my pistol, really.
Okay. As you look through the portal, which I call it a portal, it's more like a good sized window. You see a huge column that you're now passing, obviously to the west of, and you see little details, little small pinpricks of light on the darkened side of this huge column. And as you're just inextricably drawn toward the window to see what this is, you see this thing shooting up into the air. It must be at least a mile and a half tall, whatever it is. It's a great tower. Dotted along its side are what look to be balconies, windows, the twinkle of light from inside. The only thing you can really that really captures what this thing even comes close to is Terrence has a postcard from his friend back in New York of a picture of the Empire State Building, and this thing dwarfs even that. I think the Empire State was already built.
Do I have that postcard in my rucksack?
You may actually.
I'm gonna go get that,
Okay.
and I'll take it, and I'll put it on the window, and I will compare them. This
thing outside is so much larger than that building appears. It dwarfs it. And down below, as your eyes are drawn down, well, first your eyes are drawn up to the top, which the top seems to come to a point at some far distance above you. Looking down, you realize you're still probably, 1,000 feet off the ground, but you've definitely come lower than you were before. And at the base of this tower spreads out a city in concentric circles from this great tower out to the edge of a cliff, which falls off into the abyss. You have no idea how deep that is, but you can see far off in the distance either the bottom or possibly the far side of a canyon that is huge.
I kind of mutter under my breath, God, I wish Jim could see this. He would have loved this. I kind of Terry hasn't mastered keeping his thoughts to himself. Any Martians that have that telepathy will essentially be able to know what he's thinking about. He hasn't learned to keep that to himself. But if there was anyone within, I suppose, earshot, he thinks back to his grandfather described cities like Istanbul, Old Constantinople, Paris, those sorts of things, and he just looks down at this sprawling city, and he says, This is nothing that Earth has. His voice trails off.
The closest you could probably, from what you can see from above these buildings down below, the closest thing you could probably associate it with would possibly be some of the ruins you saw in Egypt. This looks like temples and large palaces. Some of them look even to be in ruins, possibly. It's a bit disconcerting to see that huge tower and at the base these buildings, which in comparison are also huge, and it gives you the sense that the mountains that you saw when you first arrived here may very well have also been buildings, though maybe ones that had not seen residents in quite some time. There's a rap at your door, and one of the stewards tells you that we'll be landing in. He says a series of words that in your mind automatically translates into 15 minutes. But that's not the actual time that he actually uses. But
do I catch his drift?
Yes, you catch the drift. About 15
I give him
minutes
a nod,
or so.
and I thank
him. All right. He nods and goes back about his duties preparing for a landing. One thing you got, the three of you have noticed, by the way, you definitely got, obviously impressions off of this Martian, but you have yet to get any impressions off of each other. You still have to actually speak to make your mind known to each other.
And Fergal's kind of quietly appreciative of the fact that his thoughts aren't openly open to everyone in his team.
I mean, to be fair, I think our specific troop has been together long enough. We don't obviously know each other's minds too well, but we're familiar enough to be like, all right, yeah. To just to look at somebody and to convey a sentence or two.
Yeah, you have the camaraderie knowing of sort of body language and expression that soldiers get in the field, but it's definitely not to the point where you're actually reading each other's minds like you can these Martians. You know, with them, they're almost like an open book. If you really set your mind to it, you think you could possibly literally know everything about them if you wished, unless they were, specifically trying to resist you. But each other, even when you sort of concentrate to each other, you don't get that same sense.
Terry finds in light of this, he finds it both comforting and frustrating. He's in charge here, but he begrudgingly wishes that there was a better or different rapport that he has with his comrades. He kind of like silently thinks to himself, like, oh, if the war had never happened, I never would have met these lads. And if that was the case, then I would be worse off. But irregardless, I had wished that I wouldn't have met these two fine gentlemen under different, better circumstances than this bloody mess we call war. He just kind of, he'll look at his companions getting ready and say, I hope that the three of us are ready for what comes today. Think of that however you wish, boys.
I think I'm ready. I've got my legs now. Hawkins is hitting the ceiling.
Yeah, mind yourself, Hawkins. That, oof. You have a bump.
You also notice possibly a matching dent in the ceiling material.
Can I reach up and like run my fingers?
Yeah, you can do right. Yeah, there's definitely a distinct impression of about a head-shaped ding there in the top of this cabin.
I'm gonna poke fun at Baldric and say I should tell the captain that you have commandeered this room. This room is now yours, with your head. Now, kind of like elbow him, kind of joking with him.
Well, if this is the worst thing that happens today, I think this will be the best day we've had yet out in this war, sir.
Shit, I hope so. As he's got a smile on his face, like, oh fuck, well, yeah, I know, right? As
I say this
to the door.
I say this while looking at you and clearly packing my medical bag and rearranging everything for easy access. He kind of like smiles and kind of like points at the bag with his chin and just winks, like, yeah, I know. You don't have to say anything. I know. And he kind of makes the motion of like resetting his nose and just opens the door and leaves the cabin. I'll meet you guys on deck then, as he closes the door behind him.
Sir, before you leave, are we wearing the trews today? The battle rattle? He stands there and he still has his coat. It's unbuttoned, and you notice
you're having a battle dress already.
Yeah, and the buttons are polished, and then you see that he cleaned his uniform.
Keith, out of character question here.
Okay.
As I'm half in the hallway and I'm kind of like peeking my head like back in, is the deck behind me like open to the air? Do I know like what the weather is like today?
Yeah, the weather is it's cool, like it was the day before in the morning, and the air is of course dry. That's one of the things you notice is that the air is always dry. very desert air. It has a slightly different spice to the air than you have before, but that spiciness is still there. And of course, the air itself is lighter than you're used to. So, but yeah, the weather seems like it's as the sun seems to be warming the air, at a very rapid pace still. But the breeze in the hallway is a bit cool. Yes, the hallway is open to the elements.
Okay. Then, I mean, and Terry is just, I mean, for the rest of the people in the party, Terry is still wearing the Martian garb he was given. I mean, he's still wearing his boots and his pants, but so he's technically out of uniform.
Yeah, but officers have the opportunity to change that on the fly, whereas us underlings don't necessarily have.
Right. Yeah, I totally get what you're doing. Well, he'll poke his head back in and he goes, it might be another scorcher today, so yeah, keep your coats off. Keep your no covers today. We don't need to be dying of stroke here. Just put a shirt on, Fergal. Don't poke the eyes out of the women here. Close the door behind me.
It's hereditary. I told you that.
So damn perky, and I'll slam the door behind me.
So as you guys make your way to the main deck, which pretty much any Martian sailor you run into is going to direct you to the main deck. The captain's asked that you come up to the proceedings of docking.
Yeah, I'll go up and stand next to Chris Vaughn.
So you're led up to the main deck where you see there's one fellow there with these series of different wheels and such and levers that he's operating as you're getting closer and closer to this huge tower. You realize, yes.
The woman that gave us that ewer of the voice of Barsoom earlier.
Yes.
What is her name, and is she present?
Yes. Her name is Seta, S-E-T-A.
Okay.
Actually, she said her full name is Seta Tal. And it's T-A-L-L. Why it's T-A-L-E.
So how do you spell it?
Seta, S-E-T-A.
Yep.
T-A-L-L-E.
Okay.
That's the impression you get from the way she pronounces it. She is there, yes.
Okay. If I catch her eye, I will smile at her, but I will do what I'm told, and I will stand next to Chris Vaughn.
She recognizes your presence and sort of smiles back at you, and goes back about what she's doing something with some device off to one side. And she's one of several. They could be, you've seen on ship's bridges there are people who operate different devices for different things, and some of this stuff is inexplicable unless you understand the operations of the ship. But this
Good morning,
this ship.
Jed.
Good morning. So, what is the title that they call you from where you are? Do they call you Jed as well?
No. From what I understand, your Jed would be comparable to a lord in my country. I am a sergeant, which
sergeant. You see his lips try to form the words, and it comes out odd. It comes out sergeant.
That is
surgeon.
Actually something different. Sergeant, but well done.
Sergeant.
My grandfather is actually would be a Jed. I am his. I am an heir to his estate once my father passes away. But I will also introduce you as Jed, since you are descended from Jeds, and your father is not currently upon Barsoom. Therefore, you will be given the same honors as your father would be. So, that is as it should be. He kind of like, I mean, he blushes a little bit at that, like doesn't say like giving him a look like, well, yeah, he can read my service thoughts. He's like, are you sure?
he goes on and he says that this will actually give you some protections as it will your men, as there will be there is certain protection given to the servants of a Jed.
Oh,
They cannot that they have certain status in this case, so that will make things easier for you. And the way he says that, you get the impressions that he's actually worried about the reaction that some people are going to have to you and to your men.
oh shit! Actually, I gotta roll this for me. Oh yeah, he this will slip out verbally. And he'll maybe a little too casually with Gresfon. He's like, "All right, mate, what's going on here?"
He looks over at you and he sort of looks you up and down and seems to have a bit of distress in his eyes. You do get that feeling off of him that he has a worry. He says, there are some in the city that may not appreciate your presence.
Earthmen?
You're not the first men from Jasum to stride the sands of Barsum. And
May I
feelings about him are mixed.
Who is this? Is this the Virginian? You mistook us for Virginians, Americans.
Yes, on Barsum he's referred to as Dr. Sojat. His name upon Jasum was John Carter, and that is the name he chooses to be called. He is a prince of Helium currently. And he is the leader of Helium.
And Helium is
it's a city.
Beltan?
Larger. Whereas Beltan, he motions out the front, which now with this expansive view of these viewports out, you can see this huge tower. This thing looks like it's possibly to 1.5 miles high and maybe 1,000 feet wide. And you see some of these little holes and pricks or pinpricks you thought were actually like very large balconies.
Grab the railing and lean over the side.
Okay, and it's a sheer drop down, but you see these they look like very much like luxury apartments in this tower. Although maybe 1 in 10 is occupied, there are actually people standing on these balconies watching you come in, all dressed very. They were the way that they're dressed. At least the women remind you of the harem girls you saw in Cairo, the ones in the red light district. They would wear these very light diaphanous type gowns that were there almost as much to draw the eye to the female figure beneath as it was to hide it.
They're dressed very fancily, is what Terry says.
Exactly, very fancily. The men are dressed for the most part in similar to the gear that the soldiers here are wearing, but a little less martial looking. Some have more bright colors. They wear capes seem to be a thing, a very common thing among males here of this, and shirts seem to be something that is a matter of fashion's choice. Some are wearing them. Some are wearing these elaborate webs of leather upon their upper torso instead. Almost to show off the male physique as well. These people definitely are not afraid of showing off their bodies.
If I see a scantily clad woman, which obviously I will, the gentleman in Terry will divert his eyes and show obviously the English respect sort of thing.
Okay. So whereas Hawkins and Fergal looking open-mouthed and wide-eyed, or are they being more conscientious of your gaze as well?
I would think that Fergal probably would be looking, but not obviously. He'd be the side eye or not the obvious look. But he does lean over to Hawkins and says, I need to get me one of them, those leather harnesses. Yeah. How's my Australian accent, by the way?
You have a lot of work to do, Fergal.
Fuck.
But don't worry, I'll be your wingman. I'll get you one of the ladies.
The ship starts slowing down to the point where it's almost that it come to a very gentle glide, and when it stops, it's a very gentle bump as it comes to up against one of these projections outside of this tower that seems to act as a gangway. The ship itself was made fast to this gangway, and several of the sailors proceed off onto this gangway, and they're met halfway by a what looks to be about like an honor guard is guarding an individual. And Gress Vaughn looks over at you and says, "Sergeant," and he almost gets the sergeant properly there. It's Sergeant Hawthorne.
I'll smile. He's trying.
Will you gather your men?
Of course.
Okay. You follow me, please.
He's almost got it right, Sarge.
So
He kind of elbows you.
Gress Vaughn, one moment, Jed.
Okay. He stops and looks at
What
you.
was that, Fergal? I'm hollering at you from across the ship.
Oh, I thought I was right next to him.
Now I am bellowing. I don't care where you are, but if you could be on the other side of the ship.
So you're yelling
I
at
stand to attention because he just yelled at me, and I say, "I said he's almost got it right, Sarge."
Boy,
My nose is in the book.
Sarge! I march up to him. I get in his face, and the drill sergeant comes out. Sarge, let me tell you, boy, there are two Sarges in this man's army, the Massarge and the Sausage. And if you are telling me to massage the Sausage, you are telling me that I am a wanker, son.
He's just staring at you in the eye with a blank expression.
Take a bonus Benny there, Terrence. That's a very well done thing there.
I'm going to lean over to Fergal and whisper very quietly.
Don't help him.
Should have implied he had a small sausage.
Oh, Corporal. Oh. I'm assuming you guys are standing right next to each other.
Mm-hmm. And I'm at
Sir.
attention with a book in front of my face.
Sir, I don't see any.
My nose is touching yours, by the way. It's
The Jed walks over next to you, Terrence. He looks at them and says, "Do you need someone to dispatch these for you, or would you like me to do so, or to bring you a weapon?"
No. There is nothing more than he can do to himself, or I can do to him what he just did.
He gets a confused look on his face and says, "They are your men."
Yes, sir. Push-ups. I nudge Fergal. Fergal, let's just do it. I drop down and just start giving him 50.
At that last second, I grin as I'm pulling down, and you probably catch it.
Oh, I see it. And I'm going to step on your pinky just a little bit.
And he's going to look up and he's going to just grit his teeth at you.
The Jed
He's complying. He's just being bullheaded about it.
The Jed looks and sees what you're doing and walks over to Hawkins and steps on his hand. Is this the way you do this?
This is how we discipline our men in England.
You make them flop and the word that comes out of his mouth is like carnic. But you get the idea that it's some kind of aquatic animal that lives in the canals.
It's their push-ups. It's an exercise.
I would avoid stepping on a surgeon's hands. If you would like to make this more effective, step on my back and put your weight. It would make it harder.
No, don't.
He actually gets off and goes and stands on your back.
Out of curiosity, because of the gravity, this is literally.
Yeah, it's very, very easy.
Lifting him effortlessly.
Yes, he actually is sort of smiling as he's doing this. As he's standing on your back, he has his hands clasped behind his back, and
So I'm going to bring him in for diamond push-ups.
Hey, what?
And then I'm going to do a one-arm push-up.
I'm going to look at Fergal, one-up him with a one-finger push-up.
Yeah.
And now it actually kind of again dawns on me that making Earthmen do push-ups on Mars, they'll do this for days and not tire. I'm just gonna roll my eyes, smile widely, and be like, "All right, boys, come on, we have an appointment. Let's get up."
Sir, yes, sir. Jump up
went-
to attention.
Well, as soon as he says that, the Jed steps back, and as you step up, it sort of surprises him a little bit, but he doesn't actually fall to the ground. He has a big smile on his face. And he looks at over at Terrence. He says, "I'm going to have my men do this when they're undisciplined." Well, that is unless they insult me personally, in which case I will run them through.
It's more and I kind of like direct him back to the gangplank, and I'll just kind of like shoot a look to the guys and be like, "All right, come on."
So
And I'll walk and talk with them. It is more a punishment that it benefits them because they are exercising, but it certainly does not feel good. And at the time, it's.
No, I understand. He stops you at the point where the deck of the ship meets the lip of this gangway, and you can notice that where you're standing, there are soldiers each side forming a sort of an avenue for you to walk down. You're very much in view of this this contingent of people in the city itself, and he sort of stops and looks over at you. He waves to someone sort of behind the ship. He says, "You did me the honor of entertaining my officers last night with your tales and feats of strength." And he looked specifically over at Hawkins. And though it may have cost you your sword, I do not wish you to leave here with less than you came with. And you see this one soldier company has three swords. They are forward curving blades, somewhat similar to what you've seen, like some of the Indian colonial soldiers carrying. They call them kukris, of course, but these are bigger. These are longer. These swords are the scabbards are designed to go on the back of a belt, so that they may be drawn easily off of one side, and you're each given one.
I kind of marvel at this, and I belt one on. Yeah.
You're also sort of getting the impression from both his expression and the feelings you're getting off of that this is a show. It's for the people on the city that are watching currently on the gangway. That he's arming you with his own weapons. So that seems somehow significant to you, though you can't really dive too deeply into his mind to really get what's behind that thought.
I'll commit that to memory, but I won't contest it.
Okay. As they help you belt these swords on, I'll give you the stats for them momentarily. Actually, I'll put it in the chat there. Gresvon takes the lead with his first mate and motions you to follow directly behind him, telling you, Terrence, to walk a step ahead of your two men. So
I will.
there we go. Okay. Do that. Okay, there we go. So the damage stats for the soldiers in the chat there. As you walk across this stone when you go from the deck of the ship to the stone of this building, you almost feel a hum through the soles of your boots, as if some great machine somewhere deep below the ground is grinding away and sending its reverberations up to this great tower. And for you to feel something like that this high up, that machine must be extremely large and potentially very powerful in your mind. The people you're walking toward, there are three individuals. There's a large man, also red Martian, He looks to be older though than the Jed here with you. There is a beautiful young woman who is standing next to him, dressed in that diaphanous clothing that you've seen on display. She also is wearing some kind of headpiece. You're not sure if it's a crown or if it's just some affectation of this place. And then there is a standing sort of behind them a little bit. There is another young red Martian, has the same look as the woman. Gressvon goes forward and goes to one knee in front of the woman, and he says, let me see, what do I have her name at? He goes to one knee and says, my Jedak. And she nods to him and holds a hand out and for motions for him to rise. She says, "I see you brought some guests." The older man is sizing you all up, and it seems as if he is not. He is possibly finding you wanting or troubling. It's hard to tell exactly. He is. You can tell that just by the feel of his mind, he is used to guarding his thoughts. He is one of these guys wearing this leather harness that sort of crisscrosses the straps and such. You can see that his torso has many scars. This guy has definitely someone who has fought, who has been injured, and who has survived. Some of these scars look to be, well, actually, to Hawkins' studied eye, some of these look like to have been near fatal. And they have been well tended. Obviously, their medicine here is good enough to keep someone alive who's taken some previous harm. But even then, this guy's constitution must be fairly substantial to be able to be here at this moment and look as fit as he is.
Can I make a smarts test to gauge how old he is comparative to me?
Yeah, you can try. Remember, I'll roll your d6 as well for your wild die.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. That's a 19.
Okay. This guy, if Martian age is similar to human age, and if they age about the same way, he looks like he'd probably be a man in his mid-40s.
Just
Yeah,
shy
so
of twice my age then.
yeah, so you've seen old grizzled veterans that remind you of this fellow, and these guys are usually tough as nails. They may be a step slower than the younger men, maybe not quite as strong as they used to be, but they will out-determine any young man ever. And this guy has the kind of look of that.
I won't say it out loud, but I will wait until he catches my eye, and just my surface thoughts will say old age and treachery over youth and exuberance.
Okay.
And I'll smirk at him exceedingly Englishly.
Fergal is giving him that because he's been in situations where they've presented to other groups, if you will, especially in the army per se, but he also has that fact that we've seen combat and we've seen hellish combat. So I'm not mad dogging him, but I'm giving him the war face.
Okay.
And standing tall behind
Sarge. Okay. Hawkins?
And my thoughts when I catch his eye are analyzing exactly how much deeper those wounds would have had to be to kill him.
Okay. Gressvon turns after he's recognized by the lady, and he turns and sort of steps aside so that you're presented to her. And he said, "I present Jed Terrence Hawthorne of Jassoon."
I'll
This
step
is.
forward. Oh, I'm sorry, Keith. Go for it.
As you step forward, he says, "This is Beltan, our Jedak. She is the leader of our of our city.
Um, so I'll step forward and I will actually bow to her rather
Okay.
deeply.
Okay.
And I say, well, good morning, my lady. And Terry will do just fine. And I'll smile at her.
And she sort of nods at you and acknowledges that and says, then I will address you as such, Jed Terry.
Yeah, he'll smirk.
She motions to the man that was staying next to her, the older gentleman, and she says, "This is this is my my general of the armies, Vlasmore." And he
I
looks at you.
snap a salute.
Okay.
And I won't look back at the boys, but I will hopefully be expecting them to do the same.
Okay. He looks at you and he sees that salute and he says, "I've seen this gesture before, but the hand positioning is different."
You're probably used to the Yank salute, huh? And I'll actually turn my hand.
Yes, the gentleman places his middle finger just above his brow, and for some reason seems to always extend his pinky just a bit as he does so. So
That is the difference between Americans and Englishmen.
So that would be the difference between, say, Helium and Zadanga. Are you at war with these Americans?
We used to be good 200 some years ago.
Wish we could still be.
When you have free time, I'd like to tell you more about this.
I would love to hear it.
Me. He seems to have either no awareness that you were thinking what you were thinking of him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with you, Hawkins, or he's hiding it very, very well. You notice that Grease Vaughn has actually sort of, as you've been addressing these two, has walked over to the other young Martian and given like a brotherly embrace, as if they're very good friends or possibly even actual brothers. And you see Bo looks over at the two of them, the Jedak, and she says, "And this is my brother Reed Child. He is the admiral of my airships." As you see, very good friends with the Jed who brought you to us. So
I'll give him a more brief salute.
Okay. He gives you he actually salutes you back in the very American way, but he actually clicks his heels together and actually does a pretty good impression of a smart salute that you'd see a Yank would do.
I smile very wide at that, going, "Oh,
it's as if he's seen it done before, So
when Terry salutes, he also clicks his boots together and does the English salute. So when he actually gives it back, that'll surprise the shit out of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it puts a big smile on the guy's face when he sees you. With that gesture, as if he's very proud of himself that he actually did it properly, apparently.
Yeah, and his surface thoughts would be like, "Oh shit, hey." Yeah.
Bo looks at you at seeing this with a big grin on her face. Said, "You're welcome guest to our city. I've had my servants prepare you apartments, and they'll be at your convenience for your various needs, be they additional clothing, food, bathing, whatever pleasure you may need." And when she says that, it's a very matter of fact. And you get the impression that the pleasure she's mentioning is exactly what you might think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the eyebrow cock is in character too.
Yeah, and just said this lady has just a very matter of fact statement there. So,
all right.
I do need to attend some affairs of state, but I would like to invite you to a dinner this evening, just after the sun passes the horizon. I'll have the servants direct you to the place of feasting.
I look back at the lads and I just say we would be honored, and I I bow to her again.
Okay. She turns, and as she walks back toward the interior, the soldiers closing around her protectively. Very smart, honor guard for her. And as you're yourself heading in, Gresfon says, I will leave you in the capable hands here of General Moore. I have some catching up to do with my friend Reed here.
If the guys actually like step forward and are say, well, wait, we're still on this terrace, if you will,
Yes,
and they're
yes.
the Jedak, their queen, is leaving, correct?
Yes, she is.
Who is still with us in earshot?
There are some of the sailors, probably the captain's honor guard. There is obviously this Blossmore fellow, this other fellow Reed Chan the admiral, and then Gresfon.
Okay, all right, never mind then. He's
So,
gonna keep that next thing to himself.
Okay. So they stood up.
Is Sela present?
Yes, Sita, the one who was on the ship. Yes, she is. She's back. She's actually back at the part of the honor guard back on the at the deck of the ship. She did not actually leave the deck, but she did come to the very edge of it.
He kind of looks back and he thinks to himself if she's attached or not, and just as he's looking back, and then he just following his sergeant.
Okay. She sort of sees you smile. She throws you a sort of a sad smile as she sees you leaving, and then
She's like,
she
that fucker's gonna die.
And she turns and apparently goes about her business on the ship. So Blasmore leads you into this cavernous balcony that leads from this ship. This thing would probably you could probably load a ship with cargo and men in a matter of an hour. This huge aperture inside of this tower. You could probably fit 4 or 5 wagons or trucks side by side in this thing. The ground you're walking on is very highly polished. It looks similar to marble, but you don't have that that slipperiness you would expect that you would normally get from marble in like a palace or one of the grand homes of England. Your feet grip to it very easily. Once you're inside the archway, there's a slight slope down into a huge central column of this city, and you can see up above these balconies in rings disappearing off into the sky. And you see both stairways leading down ever so often, as well as lifts that are built into this thing. It's hard to say if they're shops or dwellings that are part of the outer wall, but this inner promenade is bustling with people of all kinds. You see red Martians walking about. You see the giant green 4-armed beings scattered about here and there. And one of the things that catches your eye is you see a fellow that is whiter than Fergal. And he is bald, and he's wearing a blue robe with some kind of medallion hanging from it in what looks to be like as he's coming up a set of stairs. And when he sees you, he stops and gets a look of both wonder and joy on his face.
Friend of yours, Fergal.
Fuck no. He looks like one of the priests down at Mass that we avoided.
Father O'Brien touching you?
No. He was the first guy I cracked in the nuts.
Oh, there's a lad. I can like nudge
He didn't take a tooth. And I haven't stopped posturing, by the way, because I've got the presence of mind to realize that the culture is you need to push your chest out
Yes.
and
Okay.
look like a badass. So that's what I'm doing my damnedest to do that.
I still
All
have that
pale
tooth, by the way,
stand
lad.
of myself.
You do notice that Blosmore gets thunderclouds seem to basically gather in his brow as he sees this guy, and he just gets this look of contempt. And the
Gressvon,
fellow,
huh?
yeah,
I kind of like whisper to him.
Blosmore, yeah, Blosmore. Actually,
No, so Gressvon isn't here with us.
no, he actually went out and left you with Blosmore.
So,
He
yeah,
basically he was about to stop and actually try to talk to you and tell you sort of what you're seeing here when this fellow showed up, and then the young guy actually as you notice him, as Blosmore notices him and gets that look in his face, the fellow yells out "Jassoom" and holds his hands up, and he gets a huge grin on his face and snaps a salute.
What kind of salute?
An American salute. It's not nearly as crisp as the one that Reed Chan snapped, but it's obvious that he's done it more than once. You can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually snap almost like I'm going to flip him off. And then I just put my arm around as I look over at Terry and like, oh.
This yell actually
Just
makes
wait.
me lower the book I have been reading, which the title is actually all about dissection of the human
Okay.
body.
Blosmore looks at the guy and says, "Be on your way, scum. This is no business of yours."
I can walk up and behind him and like not threateningly, but like no, almost like to whisper to him, like, "Who the hell's this kid?"
That's the sin. He's a Blue Star cultist.
The hell's that?
There's scum that they beg alms from those who wander here, come travelers and such, and locals who occasionally will throw them some money or some food, but they're heretics.
So a wanker, sir.
Should we forcibly remove him, sir?
No, he's no threat. He's just an annoyance. He looks over at the fellow and says, "Be gone." And the fellow sort of smiles and says, "But they're from Jassoom." He says, "That is no business of yours. Move along."
Terry is actually doing the off with you.
So as you he sort of stands. He doesn't approach any closer, but he sort of stands with his hands sort of clasped in front of him and just looks upon you with this almost deifying joy upon his face as you guys walk by, and you'll notice because it's very prominent on his chest, this medallion that you saw that you thought was just like a blue medallion. It's actually blue and green, and it looks strangely like you're pretty sure you can pick out Europe on this thing. It's a disc, almost as if like a picture of the earth that's seen from above.
Ooh, I'm gonna commit that to memory. Terry will
Okay.
commit that to memory, but like a flash of like suspicion goes over his face, and
Okay.
I'm assuming that we're beginning to continue walking.
Yes, yeah. He leads you on past this guy. There are a couple of soldiers that are sort of following you as a sort of like an honor guard, and they make sure he doesn't approach any closer.
Can we attempt to probe his thoughts?
You can, yes.
All right.
Make me a spirit roll there, Hawkins.
All right.
Shit.
It's a D6, and then since I'm adjunct to an ally, I get +2 on it.
Okay. Well, this is a skill, I think. Yeah. Go ahead and do that. Yeah. Yes. Because you are with your group.
All right.
You're slightly emboldened.
1 and a 6.
Okay.
6.
Okay.
4 and then +2, so 18.
Okay. You get the feeling off of this thing. He is it's like he's the feeling that you get off of him is it's like he just met Jesus. Like he just saw Jesus in the flesh. And he is thinking that he is going to have to go back to the temple, and he is going to tell Creek Den that there are Jasumians here in Beltan,
And
and they've come to save them.
I'm gonna
They have to have.
whisper that in Gaelic to Fergal and in Latin to Terrence.
Okay.
I'll shoot.
Okay.
I'll shoot Baldric a look, and I'll be like, "All right, man." I'll try and be as discreet about that look as possible.
Okay.
But,
And as he does that, I'm going to look at him and say, "I've got this, sir." And I follow past him and look for a corner to pull him into.
Okay. Well, the guy in the white guy.
Yeah, as he's walking away.
Okay. Okay. So as you guys are walking away, there's some crevices you can sort of go over and grab the guy and talk to him if you wish. One of the soldiers, though, that have been escorting you, stays with you. He doesn't interfere with you. Doesn't tell you to make you stop. He just sort of stops and like, oh, I'm going to keep an eye on this guy.
We can do mental communication between us humans, right?
You haven't been able to yet.
not yet.
I'm gonna drop to Latin since it's clear they don't understand it. Sergeant, sir, do you need me to fake a medical emergency so you guys can get him alone for a few minutes?
No, don't rough him up. We'll find him.
No,
but,
I mean, do you need me to fake one so we can get you guys to talk to him?
So, Fergal, as
Not
soon as
yet.
you touch this guy just gets an ecstatic look on his face. It's like, oh, and you get this impression, oh my God, one of them touched me.
I'm going to do more than touch you in evil, devilish ways.
He met
If
Senpai.
you say a fucking word of the three of us, I will rip out your throat. Do you understand me?
He gets a look on his face and he sort of grins. He leans forward. He says, of course, you're on a secret mission. I understand. My lips are sealed.
As they should be.
No, he's speaking English, which no one else here has actually spoken before.
Beauty.
This is you see his mouth moving and actually speaking English properly. He has a weird his accent is it's almost English, but it's like a perverted English accent. So
English from the West Country.
possible in your case, you may have actually ran into a fellow or two. This is definitely a southern East Coast accent.
Hi. Then you're
That makes
familiar
Terry's
with the way.
skin crawl.
Like a Charleston accent.
Oh, I want to. Hey,
Oh.
Virgil, take his amulet. I want to see that.
And I say, then you're familiar with the East End boys and their ways. And he reaches up and he grabs the amulet and yanks it off his neck. And he says, you'll get this back if and only if you follow my words to a T.
Of course, yes. Take it. Bless it with your presence. And he starts bowing himself away from you. Is very, very similar to what you would see like a servant who does not want to turn his back to his master because he's afraid he would insult them.
Don't act like such a kid toucher. God. He looks at him so disgusted.
And when he gets about 10 feet away from you, he turns and just sort of bolts into the crowd.
Okay.
Hold out my
Yeah,
hand.
I kind of tried to do it and sort of pulled him out into an alcove or something.
Okay.
A little conversation. As the other guy, I would imagine, he's watching us, but he becomes the like deflection, so to speak.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He's not, and you see that actually Blasmore is actually stopped maybe a dozen paces away and looking back, and he's sort of observing this exchange as if he's, mildly interested.
Can I get an intimidation roll on that?
You can try if you'd like. Who are you intimidating?
Get him.
Oh, the
guy?
wild one, yeah.
Well,
Weird one.
yeah. Yes, you do intimidation if you'd like.
Since I'm not trained in it, I guess.
Yes, in that case, it would be, if you're not trained in it, it will be a D4 and a D6, of course, but you'd be at minus, I'm going to say -2 instead of the normal -4. Because,
Okay.
no, it is -2, that's right. Yeah. So
You do
D4,
have a
D6,
Benny.
-2.
Don't remember
So I
that.
do. I have a Benny, and I can wipe that out with my Luck of the Irish.
Okay, so basically just make your roll, and then that'll get it. And if you're just not high enough, spend the Benny and roll again.
They both hit the top.
Okay. Roll them both again. So
Okay, so then I got another 4 on the D4.
okay, roll it again.
So then I got a 2, and then I
Okay.
got a 2 on the other one. So I take the higher of the 2, right?
Yeah, the higher the 2, and then you subtract 2 from that total.
But I've
Without
spent
that.
a Benny to take that off of there with the luck of the
Yeah,
Irish.
that's right. Because luck of the Irish. Yeah. So yeah, whatever it is, it equals.
So it's a total of a 10.
Okay. Oh, he is most definitely intimidated. You got a raise on that. So yeah, he is. You see just by looking at his face. Yes, he's both terrified of you and fascinated with you at the same time. It's one of those like you've seen kids at the zoo looking at like a wolf with that same look. It's like they really want to get in there and just pet it, but at the same time they know if they do, it's going to bite their hand off. So that's the look this guy gets as he's leaving you. But you're pretty sure he's probably going to follow your directions.
So I'm watching him walk away, and then I turn to the guy that's with me, and I say, yeah, I get that a lot. Is this guy wearing one of those leather harnesses?
Yes, he's wearing the harness. It's almost like a uniform the way he's dressed.
How do I get one of those?
I will have someone bring one to your apartment if you'd like it and fit you to it.
Is it
I'll
better
pass it
to
on.
win it in combat?
It is, but from what I understand, you've already slain one of the green men with a single shot, so you would have earned one.
I'd be happy to box with somebody, though, if they'd like to. And I kind of wink at him.
That could be arranged. So,
And we start walking back, and I just look at the amulet as we're walking back to the other.
It is
I'll
back
hold out
is
the amulet when you
Okay.
come back.
Yeah, the back is metal of some type, and it's basically a disc, and it looks like sort of a rough outline of the continent of Africa and then Europe, and then off to the far left hand side you can see sort of the east coast of the Americas, as if it's been drawn from, say, the perspective of the center of the Atlantic, basically. So. And it looks to be like inlaid stone, possibly like a crushed, maybe like some kind of crushed blue stone and a crushed green stone added together and then set in some kind of resin.
Dave, does Fergal actually? Are you looking at it, or do
Yeah,
you
and as
hand it to me when you're done with it?
Yeah, I come walking up to you and say, and then I hold it out to you.
I'll take it from you. And then
I'd never hold it from you. I'd only do that to wankos.
It's maybe 2 inches across as far as the size goes. It's fairly large amulet. It's not a tiny one.
I'll point my chin to where the cultist disappeared, and I'll be like, "There's a lad. Good on you, boy.
He's square. He knows what to do."
Yeah.
Good. More of that'll keep us safe." Actually, I'm speaking in English at this point. I'll turn back to Blossmore and be like, "My apologies. Fergal here doesn't like a tail. Doesn't like being followed."
He was more gentle than my men would have been had I asked them to deal with that fellow.
Just so there's no confusion, I do like tail.
Just not being followed is
right. Yes.
I understand. There was no confusion in my mind.
That was Fergal being nice, just so you know.
Yeah, that's the nicest I've ever seen him.
No joke.
He's normally a dickhead.
He's incredibly strong. I think he could, beat just about anybody.
Look on the arms on him. Yeah.
Yeah, and you should see what he does to people all the time. Man, the injuries I've had to patch up.
So
the women are bow-legged after a night with Fergal.
It's the luck of the Irish, I'd say.
Blossmore has a smile on his face, and he says, "Irish. Are you from a different city-state than the others?" Addresses you directly, Fergal.
Actually, yes, I'm from the Emerald Island. Yes.
The Emerald Island. It has a very poetic sound to it.
Yes. Haven't been there in a while, but it's where I call home.
You're a campaigner then, yes? You've been out and about earning your manhood?
You could call it that. Yes. I've been doing business, and then I put on a uniform and did some other types of dirty business. And but you know, a job's got to get done, and there's only certain men that can do that.
Well, he reaches over and he sort of he grasps your shoulder and says, "You'll be you'll be a great warrior someday, I'm sure, son. I'm sure, lad," as he says, "lad."
And
he goes.
At first he grins, and then he just kind of blinks at him like, and then he starts getting red, and then he looks over at Terry.
So he says, "So you for what the report was that we were sent from the airship, you men were attacked by a green Martian hunting party yesterday around dawn, yes?"
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Would you mind telling me what you were doing in that area? I wasn't aware that there were any. I'm not sure where you had come from. Had you come from one of the other cities, or?
Well,
we were given orders. Those orders were to charge the line, and we had all decided that it was suicide, but we steeled ourselves and ran for it. And in the smoke and the haze and the swirl of lights, and for a moment I felt like I'd been drinking my grandma's Irish swill, but this was not as sweet. And when we woke up, we were in this godforsaken land. My apologies.
the boy has it exact.
But there were no reports of a battle near that area.
Well,
for whom were you fighting for, and against whom?
King George.
King George.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with that. Is he a Jeddak of one of the cities here, or?
No, he would be, I suppose, Jeddak of our England. We were.
Oh, on Jassoon. Oh.
The smoke that Fergal describes was the last thing that we saw of Jassoon, and then when we awoke, we were here on your Barsoom.
That is both concerning and odd. I know the tale of John Carter was that he fell senseless and then appeared here upon Barsoom the first time he came.
That sounds like a Winko.
That's actually what happened to us. It sounds like it anyway.
Yes.
Why or how, we do not know. We were hoping that
is one
your
thing
lot would have answers for us.
Our scientists may have answers. I know we have at least one who studies this kind of thing. You might actually at some point speak to Shiloh Thoris. He is the ambassador from Helium. He may know more of this than we do, as he's had close contact with this. This is Lost Moore speaking this, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's had more contact with this John Carter than we have here. So he may have heard tales of how this may be done, or how this how this process occurs. But we also have there's a scientist also here that studies. He studies the stars. He is the fellow Thiessen that was mentioned earlier. He specifically uses his instruments to study the blue star, although he turns his mind to fake religions instead of scientific discovery.
Is he like that blue clothed git that we've just dodged?
No, he is. He is a red Martian.
Mm,
He was once a very highly respected scholar, and he became obsessed with John Carter and Jusum and where he came and how he came to be here.
if you lot are red Martians,
Yes,
what indeed was that?
we call him a Thran, or the White Men.
A Thurn.
Thurn, yes, Thurn. Sorry, I misspoke. Yes, Thurn.
But they're as white as we are.
They are. There are many different colors of men upon the face of Mars. There's the Thurn, who are
Terry
white.
will kind of like.
There are the first men who are as black as night. There are the yellow men of the far north.
Mm.
There are, of course, the green men. He motions towards one of the large green Martians walking by.
And you call them Tharks?
Thark is one of their hordes.
I see.
But they are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he is part of the. I have my notes here. What do they call them here, real quick?
Please don't say Warhoon.
No, he is not Warhoon.
Oh, good.
The Feld horde. He is a Feld green Martian.
So Terry will kind of like cross his arms over his chest, and he'll not. His tone might come across a little bit more accusatorially than he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
So his surface thoughts and his expression might be two different entities here. And so addressing Blossmore, he'll say, I am going to assume, Jed, that our company is preferred to these mongrels that you call the Therns.
The Therns themselves are lapdogs of helium.
Really?
They are specifically the Thurn. The Thurn horde is, yes, they do the bidding of John Carter and John Carter alone. They worship him almost as a deity at this point. And the way he says that, you definitely get the feeling that he has some, he has some contempt for Green Martians in general, but specifically for the Thurn. He said, I fought them for 20 years as a soldier of Zdonga before coming here.
I see.
They are cannibals. They have no sense of individual honor. Only the honor of the blade and the spear. So no refinement. So,
I'm assuming we're all like sitting or like standing in this
all,
open area.
You're being sort of you're walking sort of at a leisurely pace through this. He's basically taking you to your apartments.
We're walking and talking just so I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's not too out of line to ask, sir, if you fought for 20 years, why aren't they all dead? You seem very capable.
Most of them are, but I was betrayed by my own city.
Yeah, your city of Zdonga did this.
Yes, there was a great battle, and their airships were supposed to support us as we were taking on the city of Keller Marlin, and they never arrived. The city left us out to dry, of just dangling at the end of a rope, if you will. They had apparently cut a deal with the city there to gain access to their gain access to some of their records of the priests of Issus in exchange for allowing helium to gain a win, seemingly as their ally. and then Calor Marlan was going to betray Helium. We were sacrificial lambs.
Oh,
But
that's
I don't-
unacceptable.
I don't appreciate a government that will sacrifice that many men for a minor political gain. Thus, those of us who survived wound up fleeing out into the dead seabeds, and that's where we met up with the green men I mentioned before.
Sounds
The
like
felled
potion.
horde.
Sorry,
And,
sir. I'm speaking out of turn.
it's understandable. So, but
No,
that
I mentioned to Terry that it sounds like Beauchamp basically giving us the orders to run into fire, basically.
He'll
Yeah.
just be like, that's a little close to home, but yeah,
but,
you are right.
Pardon me for speaking out of turn, sir, but it sounds like that old, I'm going to try to be polite here, sir, but that old person we had to listen to that did not even deserve his commission, that, probably should have been fed to our hounds and maybe been used for anatomy practice.
Well, he was a Belvedere. Handsome man.
Well, look at me. I'm so handsome. I can prance around. La-di-da-di-da.
The silver spoons, No offense,
Silver
sir.
spoons.
Steady on.
Yeah, no offense, sir.
No offense taken, says, thinking that you're directing it to him. Blosmore says, no offense taken. I come from more common stock.
They're not talking to
A man after our own.
Understandable. Here is he motions toward a large door as you come around this curve, and this is a large ornate door that has carvings of it looks like Martian revelry of some type, maybe a battle scene. It's sort of hard to. It's very stylized in the way it's carved into this material, which is not wood. It's some kind of other material. And he two servants opened these big broad doors leading into this massive, what can only be considered a ballroom almost. And he says, "These are your apartments while you stay here." And this is, this is something that you would expect to be in a palace in London or Versailles. There are the main open area has couches and lounges in sort of clusters about the place. You could actually sit wherever you wish. There's a huge open balcony leading out to the open air. You can see smaller flyers flitting back and forth, as well as the occasional bit of wildlife, birds, or what passes for birds here on Mars flying by. There's a balcony that above that he says leads to individual sleeping chambers. And there are 6 young Martian women, red Martian women here. He said, "These are your servants. They'll do your bidding as you wish." So,
How old are these women comparatively to us?
they look to be probably, well, one of them is older. She looks to be more maybe like the head maid, if you wish to call her that. The others are probably in range from their late teens into their mid-20s.
Okay.
So
Terry's age or younger then. Okay.
yes. There's actually 1 or 2 is probably Fergal's age.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, based on the way they look, and they're all dressed very scantily. So,
Of course.
and he says, "Well, with that, I will leave you to refresh yourselves and settle in, and I'll see you this evening at the banquet."
What type of hospitality services are offered here?
Whatever you desire.
And he turns red and looks at the younger girl, and then
She gives you a look, a smile that almost makes you embarrass yourself. We'll just put it that way. And she's sort of, and as she's doing that, the older one comes over and sort of chuffs her on the back of the head and says, "You should not be so forward with young men."
I'm gonna look at Fergal and just say, well, if you need any medication afterwards, you know who to talk to.
Mm. He starts chewing his lip, the side of his cheek.
I'm actually gonna get a slightly evil smirk. Did you ever get the lessons in school?
Yeah, the older lady steps forward and bows to you and says, I am Gree, Gree. I am the head of your servants, and I am here to serve. My ladies will be of service as well. And she looks at specifically at Fergal and says, I hope that that she did not embarrass you, young lord. You get the intent that young lord is a very respectful way of saying boy, because she thinks you're younger than the other two.
At first, he's taken off guard from the fact that she's being so polite and everything, and then she says, "Young lord," and that's private, ma'am. I'll have you know I'm a private. And
she looks and she's. I apologize, private. My mistake.
No,
you obviously are.
My dear, it's very accurate. Thank you, Gree. That will be all.
If you wish anything, there are pull cords in each of the private rooms, and about the area here, the ladies will be as present or as invisible as you desire.
Terry is going to go upstairs, and he is going to pick one of the larger rooms.
They're big. These rooms are huge.
Then never mind. Then
yeah. These, as a matter of fact, when you guys see them, both Hawkins actually probably lived in New Zealand. Probably had a fairly large house there. Most of the more well-to-do do. Your entire house would fit in this one room. There are wings of your grandfather's home, Terrence, that would barely fill one of these rooms yourself.
He's just reveling. It's like, oh, it's like Granddad's house.
Now there is only one room that has a balcony, so I'm sure Terrence will probably take that one.
That is my room.
The other ones have very elaborate paintings on the walls and such. They have the lighting here is obviously electric of some kind. So it's you're not the rooms aren't dark and dank. They're very warm and comfortable. There is some kind of a heating apparatus built into the wall that gives off a bit of heat. In the daytime, you can actually are feeling it now. Sort of the heat is going down, and it seems to be almost a cooling effect in the room as well. The air is actually quite comfortable. In each of the rooms, there's a table set out with a collection of fruits, and there's some wine there on a table in the center. There's also there's a contraption in the back that looks like maybe a shower, but there's no nozzle, no knob for water.
I stick my hand in there,
Okay.
like feel around the wall, like where one should be.
There's a button on the wall, and as you touch it, you get the sensation of a vibration. And you literally see, like on your skin, particles of dirt lifting off of your skin and sloughing off and falling to the floor.
Fascinating.
Okay.
I hit the button again, like I'm assuming it'll turn off.
Yeah, it turns off.
And I'll just
and your hand feels refreshed. Actually, it's obviously very clean.
Oh, damn.
Even under your fingernails is clean.
If that's the case, he strips down and hops in there.
Okay. Yeah,
Fergal's going to help himself to some fruit and then a glass of wine while he's.
Okay. There's also something that you didn't see on the ship. There's something that looks maybe bread, possibly with it. It's more of like an unleavened bread. It's a flat, like a pita, basically, is what it looks like, and it's got a very nutty flavor to it. but it's good and filling as well. The shower feels like a combination of it. You feel definitely clean when you're done, and almost like you've got a massage.
Ooh.
So, and even
Terry
even
very
your,
much likes that. He's
yeah, and even your hair feels clean for the first time in what feels like forever.
Is
So,
there a shower in everybody's room?
yes, there is.
Hawkins is going to take a shower in his gear
Okay.
to refresh the gear as well.
Okay. Yeah. The gear is definitely cleaned as well. So.
And then use the pull cord to ask for medical books.
Okay. The young lady who comes in and you ask for that, she says, "I'll send to the library and see what we have." Would you like a doctor as well?
Yes.
I'll send for a physician then. So, you guys basically spend the afternoon doing whatever you wish, be it lounging about, eating, taking a shower. If you want, if you want to have a conversation with one of the maids, that's up to you. So
Terry he'll talk to one of the gals.
Okay.
Casually. He won't
okay,
get much information out of her, but
okay. Well, for those of you who actually talk to any of, do you ask her anything?
I ask her what is the relationship between Beltan, Zedonga, Helium, and I believe Tarth was actually mentioned in passing. I'll ask her the general politics
the general
of
overview.
these.
All right. So what she tells you is that basically over the past 40 years or so, Helium and Zedonga, which are the two largest city-states on Barsoom, have been in a constant state of war. Sometimes it's outright conflict. Other times it's through proxies and subsidiaries. Many allied smaller city-states had found themselves over the past years have found themselves as pawns in this war, and many no longer exist. Some were brought down through civil war, others by overzealous religious upheaval, and some by direct warfare. The Beltan Confederacy is made up of refugees from both sides who only seek to live in peace. They want to get away from this conflict. As our cities fell, and she says she is actually from the city of Calar Marlon.
Oh.
Basically, as their cities fell, they found themselves preyed upon by the tribes of the Green Men and rogue Red Men bandits, and some were even taken by the Corsairs of the First Men. She said her specifically, she was there when Blasmore was abandoned by Zedonga. And what happened there was her city was a theocracy. They were led by the priests of Issa.
I see.
And this is the older servant who's basically sort of telling the tale. And she says that they were very devout people at that time. But then this John Carter came along, and there were revelations that occurred after he had gone up the River Is, which was their death ritual, and so had his wife Deja Thoris. And
Lucky Yank.
You're not supposed to come back from that. That is a final voyage, but they did, and they came back with tales that the goddess Issa was nothing more than a bitter old woman who preyed upon those who went down the river and used them as sustenance.
I'm going to stop her after this, and I'll in English, see. So what I'm hearing is there was some hag born of these black Martians.
Yes.
And
the first men.
She firstborn, yes. The first, and she it was preying upon these people who came down this river, and he's also talking with his hands.
Yes.
And she ate them.
Yes. Not just her, but the most of the first men subsisted on a steady diet of both red men and green men.
So this Yank is Virginian, and his woman come
Yes.
back from this horrible place,
Yes.
and they tell Helium that your entire religious system of your people is fraud.
Yes. It was a lie. That revelation, of course, shook our city-state to the core.
As well it should.
The priests held on to their belief and claimed that John Carter was a heretic and that he lied. And that the only reason he was telling these tales was to undermine the Church of Isis and to cause the people of our city to rebel. For our city had in secret allied with Zidonga, but openly was allied with Helium and was passing intelligence about one to the other.
If
Our
I
people
know
rose
anything-
up.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Our people rose up in rebellion. And our military was not insubstantial, but the majority of our army was actually sided with the people. The priest ordered the Navy, led by Reed Chan, to fire upon the citizens of the city.
Which city?
Keller Marlan.
Okay.
He was.
I'm
the
following
admiral
her
there as
political
well.
web.
Yes.
All right.
He could not do so and turn the guns upon the Temple of Issa.
The image of "well done, mate" comes across his surface thoughts.
After that, because we were hard pressed by the Thran at that point, they had apparently the Tharks. Sorry, the Tharks. They had apparently Helium had uncovered the plots that our priests were perpetrating with Zidonga. We were forced to flee. The fleet brought us here to what was once a ruin, and over the past 20 years, we have built Beltan into a city independent of either Helium or Zidonga.
So this was once a ruin, and this only took 2 decades to make this beautiful place.
Well, I mean, the tower itself was already standing.
Why? Yes, but
We've just come in and been able to refurbish what was here, clean it up a bit, and moved in.
Just for the sake of the cinematics, I would have actually talked to one of the girls, asked one of the girls that was about my age or slightly younger. I have not spoken to the head maid yet. And this is a private conversation in my in my apartment. So I'm essentially going to muse here. If I know anything about Yanks, Americans,
yes,
I have a good friend. His name is James.
Yes.
But we call him Jim. He lives in a place called New York City.
Okay.
Similar to it's not. I've seen pictures of New York City. I've not been there, but there's tiny compared to Beltan. If I know anything about Yanks, they're honest. Sure, there will be liars in every society, but Yanks are honest, almost to a fault. And if John Carter had gone down this river and saw these things and spoke of what he saw, that I apologize to say, in my experience, I feel that I would agree or believe him with my experience with Americans previously.
And many people do. Matter of fact,
where do you fall on this?
I believe that what he saw was true, but I do also at the same time believe that this woman was only assuming the guise of Issa, that she was corrupting the truth of the goddess. and preying upon those.
I
I believe that there is truly an Issa there. I am still a true believer, but I also understand that people will prey upon those who believe with blind faith.
From
For many
everything
others,
that you've told me about this, I am truly sorry about what's happened to Beltan. And
we're doing what we can.
um, and yeah, my apologies, my dear. I am so very rude. My name is Terrence Hawthorne. You may call me Terry. Many of my friends call me Terry. But the Jed Gress Vaughn has enlightened me. Allegedly, I am also a Jed like he, by virtue of my grandfather.
She gets a look on her face at that is, and then she goes to bounce. Says, I apologize for speaking.
Oh,
so
no. Do not apologize. You did not know.
Okay.
I did not know about an hour ago. I kind of give her we're good. Just
okay.
And my thoughts say loose lips sink ships.
Okay. One thing you notice is that when you're thinking these things, the Martians don't seem to be reacting to it. Just maybe not hearing it. So while that's going on, Hawkins is getting a doctor to come. Fergal, were you just going to eat and get cleaned up, or?
Yeah, I got cleaned up, and then after, I ate some. I took a shower with all my gear on, similar to Hawkins, because not that I was watching, that'd be really weird. But it seemed logical.
Yeah.
He's not that dumb.
Yeah.
And he's going to kind of walk out with something that looks like an apple, and he's going to try to approach the younger girl previously.
Okay.
What was her name? Greem?
I don't think you actually got her name. She says her name is, if you ask her what her name is, she'll tell you her name is Hala.
Hala?
Hala.
Okay.
It's H-A-L-A.
Are you taken?
What do you mean?
How do I say this without coming across a little weird?
Oh, do you wish to bed me? She says.
And I didn't think. Can I buy you a drink first?
What? If you wish me to drink something first, I can do so.
I don't know. It might help.
I mean, what do you wish to go to your apartment to your bed chamber, or is your culture one of the ones who takes a woman in plain view of their mates as a sign of dominance? Some of the Green Martians do this, from what I understand.
And I mean, when we were in Cairo, it was, but we're not necessarily in the field anymore. And, I don't think that plowing, pardon me, I don't think that coitus would be appropriate in front of my.
I apologize. Are you well?
Am I well?
She's looking at you.
Thank you.
No, I mean your face. It's taking on a color. Your people are.
Oh, this is natural.
Are you somehow becoming Red Martian?
Oh no.
I'm assuming he was blushing at that a bit, as you know. So she's noticing the blushing and such going on there. So
there's all this talk about this guy John Carter.
Yes. He's the Prince of Helium. And
sure, as you say. But wouldn't it? He was the enemy.
He to those who fought with Zidanga, yes, he was. Those who fought with Helium, he was an ally and a great hero. And to those in between, depending on their experiences, he has been a great force for good and a great force for chaos, both upon Marsoon.
So is he a hero in general to this culture here then?
It really depends. What she's basically saying is there are some people in Beltan who see him as a hero, and there's some people in Beltan who see him as a almost like a devil figure. It really
Okay, the
depends on your
red has
beliefs.
left his face, and he's not
Yeah.
flush. He's just kind of he's losing. Not you, Keith, but actually,
Yeah, I got you.
Fergal is like he's just zoning out. She's like giving him so much info. He's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. She starts
What-
launching into the story about all what's happened before and stuff like that.
I'll come.
how about the Jedak?
at this time?
Okay,
The Jedak.
does he view him as a hero?
She
She.
Beltan's
No,
Jedak is a she.
She is. She
I'm getting all the names. The
she
ruler.
keeps. Yeah, she keeps. It's you've been introduced to a lot of people, so that's understandable. She says I do not know her mind on him, but I know that she allows an ambassador of helium within her city, and that ambassador is the cousin of John Carter's mate.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
I assume she at least does not hold him in contempt or as evil, but may just see him as a concerned, foreign power.
So they're neutral. There's a neutral alliance currently.
Yeah, Beltan would like to remain neutral between the fighting between Zidanga and Helium.
Okay.
Question for the game master.
Okay, quick answer.
What was the name of the serving girl that I was speaking to, and the one that Fergal was speaking to? Like, I'm assuming we're sitting down here in like the living room.
Yeah. Well, the one he's speaking to, the young girl's name is Hala. The one you were speaking to, her name is Keel, Keal.
Okay.
They tell, and if you ask them why they only have one name, they have one name because they are not allowed to speak their family names because they are currently slaves.
Well, he kind of like just leans back in his chair and kind of like indicates all these girls. You're slaves here.
Yes,
Why the hell for?
we could not afford to pay the passage to come to Beltan, so we pay with our service.
But you can. This isn't slavery. This is indentured servitude. You'll of course be free someday.
You get the idea in your mind that their idea of slavery doesn't distinguish between one who owes and one who is owned.
So what I just explained was
yeah.
completely alien to them.
Yeah, but
So
they
you
know that
always-
at some point they will be either them or their children will be free peoples. It depends on how much one owes.
I see.
So,
In just as an aside, ladies, I'm actually talking to all of them. The Jedak of Beltan. What's her name?
Jacob Beltan, Bo-chan,
How do you spell that? B-O.
Theo,
Okay.
and then
And
last
then
name is Chan, C-H-A-N. So Bo-chan.
Okay. Is she's not married, is she?
She does not currently have a mate. No.
Oh. Good to know.
Although I know there is talk. At least I know that that Shilotheris would love her to marry someone at his house because that would bring Beltan in alliance with Helium. But of course, with us trying to remain neutral, that there are those in the city that do not like this idea. As she's speaking about this, the door opens, and the servant that Hawkins had sent out looking for the doctor comes walking in with an older gentleman carrying a stack of books. And literally as he comes walking in, a soldier comes bursting in behind him and knocks him over.
I go for my my 1911.
Okay.
Do I hear this cacophony of sound?
Yes, you definitely hear the cacophony of sound and the cursing.
Oh, I run out of my room then.
The soldier sees you pull your gun and holds his hands up and says, "I mean, no offense. I apologize, Jed." And he actually falls to the floor and prostrates himself in front of you for
Yeah, take
you,
his tooth.
I'm gonna lean down and I'm gonna
Mhm.
if it's in range, Keith, I'm gonna sack tap Fergal like with
Okay.
my 4 fingers.
Okay. It
I'm
actually
not
hurts a
taking the
little bit.
bead off of him though.
Okay.
Do I recognize this trooper?
No, he's just by these trappings that you've noticed, he's just a regular, like a run of the mill soldier,
What's
a
his
private,
heraldry?
if you will. What's that?
What's his heraldry? Is he Beltanese?
Yes. He is
Okay,
from
so
Beltan.
he's gonna have probably like a yellow cape then.
Yes, yeah, he has a yellow cape and some yellow, attachments to the front. He says, "I bring word, urgent request for your presence. You have among you a physician, yes?
The one
Yeah.
that you
Knows
just
one who knows
knocked over,
your kind.
as well as
The one that
He's-
knocked over is a red Martian who was coming to speak with Hawkins.
Baldric, front and center.
Okay.
I'm walking out of my
Okay.
running out of my room, throwing the helmet on.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you need?
The older fellow is gathering his books up, and he looks up. He says, "The red Martian looks up at you and says, 'We have found a body,
Ooh, a body?
and we believe he is of your people.'"
I say that super excitedly. Ooh, a body? Really? Where?
Corporal, go get him
Don't act
and
so
bring him
excited.
back.
I say that in English. I say, you might not want to act so excited.
We can
Corporal.
have the body brought here if you would like.
Oh, no,
Jed.
no. I want to see this.
Corporal,
No, we have the body brought here if you would like, Jed.
Can I go get it?
Corporal,
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
go get him and bring him here.
Yes, sir. And I say this with a giant smile.
The soldier leaps to his feet, even though you still have the gun pointed at him, and says, "I'll lead the way."
I've put it away.
Okay.
And had he not gotten up, I would have told him to get on
Okay.
his feet. But
Yeah, he says, "I'll lead the way," and he leads you. He actually runs, which you find. Actually, I need you to make me an agility test real quick there, Hawkins, because this is something you haven't actually done yet. Regular running.
Sir, should I go with her? With him?
nah, let Baldric have his way with the corpse, and then we'll give him a hard time when he
Hey,
comes back.
I
I'm
actually go
gonna
pale as he says that.
I'm gonna spend a Benny right off the back because I got
Okay.
snake eyes.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no!
There goes another Benny.
Okay.
Come on, Lynx, you got this.
6,
Okay.
10 total.
Okay. You're able to keep up doing sort of almost like a hop from foot to foot to keep up with this guy. It looks a little awkward, but people are actually watching you as you go by. They're stopping and marveling at these because you're doing cover 10 feet with a bound. And there are a couple of times you have to actually check yourself and slow down to keep from outpacing this fellow. He takes you down several sets of steps, and then eventually over to a lift. And you go down what seems like forever. The nature of the tiers, you notice, is getting more and more common, I guess you could say, is the only way I can put it. There's more commerce going on. The thoroughfares are more crowded. There's a lot more soldiers with weapons here than above. Whereas the above seems sort of almost like an idyllic, country estate almost. On the inside, down below is like the Warrens of the Lower East Side of London.
Mm-hmm.
Once you actually get to the actual what seems to be the floor level, and you only think that because there are 3-story wide archways leading out into an open area outside the tower. You're led to if it had wheels, you would call it a wagon. And there's these thoats attached to the front. This thing has no wheels, and by God and King George, it's about 1.5 feet off the ground, just sitting there.
It's just sitting there.
It's
a
just
foot
sitting
and a half
there.
off the ground.
About 1.5 feet off the ground. He takes you around to the back, and this thing is open back, just like you would expect a wagon to be. It looks like it's possibly a troop carrier of some kind. There's a couple of soldiers there. And there's another red Martian man leaning over a covered lump there in the center. He sees you and he says, is this the Jasumian physician I was told about?
I point at the red cross on my bag and just raise an eyebrow.
What is this heraldry I see?
Surgeon, doctor.
Ah, yes, I will note that for the future. Let men know. Just come.
Also,
I have something
do
here.
not shoot at.
Then why do you make it a target?
You will have to.
Later. This is somewhat important to me.
You'll have to take that up with my Jasak.
He
Jasum.
Your Jedak or your
Jedak. Yes.
Yes. Come up. I want you to see what we have here.
Yes. Take me to this body,
okay.
and I actually start rubbing my hands together a bit.
As you get up in the back of this thing, and he uncovers this cloth over this body, it is most definitely a British soldier who's dead.
Okay.
His gear is not present. He looks like he has a pretty serious sunburn, and he has been mauled. He's missing a leg. Actually, do me a perception real quick there, Lynx. So
Perception.
But basically, yeah, give me a roll to examine the body so I can tell you how much you actually see about it.
Notice.
Notice, that's the word, notice.
I was about to say, I don't have perception.
Different games, different day, all different words.
Yeah,
same thing.
we're playing on the edge of savage shadows. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
27.
Okay. You examine the body pretty thoroughly. This guy, he did not die. When the leg was removed, he was alive.
Okay.
That's one of the first things you notice.
Does he have his tags on him?
Yes, he actually does have his tags on him. This was a Corporal Johnstone.
Okay.
And he's with the Anzacs. He's not actually British. He's Australian. The leg was removed. He was alive. What actually caused him to die is he has a puncture in his chest from a bladed weapon that actually goes all the way through to the back, as if he was, he was run through effectively by something. This hole is probably the size of 3 of your fingers. Whatever this was big.
Ooh.
So,
all right, I'm gonna take notes in my little book I keep on me really quickly on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna take one of his tags, put it in there.
Okay. The fellow asked, do you want him brought to your apartment so that you can do any kind of funerary rites?
Yes, please.
Okay. He details a couple of his men to basically get what is similar to a litter, what you would see with your almost actually very similar to what you would see before. Because the poles themselves are made of a metallic something. And one of the things you notice is you're not seeing a lot of wood in any of this stuff. Places where you would use wood back home seem to be using this metal or this weird substance that looks almost metallic, but not quite as hard.
All right.
And they basically follow you back up. And Dave just disappeared in the bar soon. Do we want to do a quick 2-minute break real quick?
That would be a good pause point.
And you're muted there, Terry.
He just walked off into the desert.
Okay. Well, let's do a quick 10-minute break real quick then, and we'll come back here in about 10 minutes, and we'll pick up that scene right there, okay?
All right.
Hello, Dave, sticking his head out from the... We're going to do a quick tenor real quick, so we'll be right back.
That sounds good. Yeah, I've got wireless headset, so I can hear you.
All right.
Okay.
So
Talking shit.
recording is going to be paused?
It can be edited, so
Okay.
you just turn your camera off if you want.
Actually, go ahead and put the Oppie thing right there. That would be perfect.
Well, I'll have to actually type it if I do, so I'm just going to do that. So for now. Okay.
Have you watched the latest season of Clone Wars? You have not. Okay, no spoilers. It's kind of boring in the middle. You're on mute. No
Yeah,
spoilers,
dude,
but
no spoilers, jerk.
No problem, no spoilers. But I haven't actually watched. I've watched like 1 or 2 episodes, but I haven't watched the
it's a
whole
long
thing.
one. It's an investment, yeah. But the
Okay.
last season, there's like a story arc in the middle that's kind of, I don't know, flimsy. But the
Yeah.
ending of it is powerful for story-driven
Okay.
stuff. It's awesome.
I'll be interested in seeing it actually. But yeah, I have not yet watched it, but I do have access to the Disney Plus thingy. So,
How
Watch
for the
what?
for the Mandalorian. The last season of Clone Wars, Star Wars Clone Wars.
Yeah.
How is the Disney Plus?
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
It's
if you like
worth it
Disney
for
stuff,
Nat Geo.
if you like Disney stuff and Nat Geo stuff, it's actually worth it because it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, for the price, it's like what, $8 a month,
$6
$6 a month. Yes, it's not that
for the
bad.
basic.
Or you can leech it. I mean, we have like
Yeah.
7 people on our account. I mean,
Hey,
all my kids, my brothers.
I leech Malran's Hulu, Disney Plus, his Amazon.
Yeah.
Not only your
And it-
Netflix.
Yeah, and in trade, I give them the really good Netflix every month.
Say no
The
more.
4 devices, Ultra HD, 4K. You can download whatever you want. Netflix.
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
So yeah,
Very nice.
so that's how
All
we
right.
entertain ourselves when we're not doing this. So
I will say Hulu is worth the History Channel.
well, I've expanded Hulu. I don't just have like the basic
Yeah, he has good.
$7.99 Hulu.
He has good Hulu because I get to watch my PBR. I
Well,
love it.
Yeah.
I get to watch my PBR, my Red Bull cliff diving, my extreme sports, and
The Hulu I have
my History
is
Channel.
it is my cable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spend like $40 a month, and I get like all the local broadcast channels live and several other channels live, and I get a lot of the other channels' contents on streaming as well. So that's how I watch my Forged in Fire every week and stuff like that. So yeah,
Best free service, YouTube.
YouTube is good.
Right.
Actually, there's one that actually Tubi, TUBI, is a free service.
I really don't like Tubi.
If you like, especially for that older television, well, they all have Hulu's got commercials too.
No, it doesn't. Not if you
uh,
watch the good stuff on Hulu.
Well, but some of the ones you do have actual commercials. But Tubi, if you like a lot of older shows,
Not the Medford car options.
well, the older shows and stuff like that, Tubi has some good stuff. Older movies and some pretty darn good B movies. Although they don't have that one Princess of Mars Asylum crap. So that I watched like 5 minutes of that earlier today, and I'm like, oh my, okay, this is Asylum. Yep, this is Asylum.
Wait a second. Dave has kids?
Yes, Dave has kids.
Yeah, he's old as shit.
I thought he was like 32, 37.
With
No,
this
he's
brain,
like 62.
Dave has spawned. Yeah,
I
Dave
have
has
3
spawned.
kids. I have my youngest is 24 and my oldest is 29, I think.
God,
Like I
your
said,
kids are my age?
he's old
Yeah.
as shit.
That's all right. I hang out
could
with
have
younglings
kids
all
your
the
age.
time.
So
Young
I could-
lords and ladies.
So Rafe and I are the kids of this group.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's all right.
You are the
I'm young at
youngest,
heart.
actually.
Yeah, me
I
and
am
Dave
not-
could literally.
Yeah,
me
you
and
are.
Dave could be fathers to either of you.
Oh
So
God.
Oh, bite your tongue.
Considering I don't know who my
true.
dad is.
I was not in California in the early '90s. Don't worry.
All right,
I
all right.
don't know.
Shall we? All right.
Hey,
I
now,
think we shall. So
I don't want to. My senior year was a blur. Orange County.
Yeah.
All jesting aside, it's just
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like whatever.
so
I am
So-
me.
yes, you are. So this body, after a quick, basically them wrapping it up. There's a few other things they actually throw into they have in a bag as well that they bring with them, and they get you an escort back up to the apartment. So they come in. The servants have a table, prepare a table for it, lay it out, and open it up.
Before they come back in, I'd like to have a little brief scene with Virgil.
Okay.
Definitely.
As soon as they left, he's been gone for a few minutes. I'm gonna say, Virgil, hey, did you see? You get a look at their queen, their Jedak.
Hey, well, not in the way that you'd be thinking, though.
Oh, come on, mate.
I was brought up right. If they're betrothed, they're not for me.
It's hate to see her go. Love to watch her leave. Ooh.
Yeah.
And
She
Terry's
was a
not being
looker.
quiet.
I'm not blind, my friend. I did see that she had comely shape and bearing hips, of course, and so on. But I should stop there.
My goodness! As the door opens to the apartment.
So yes, they bring in this stretcher with this covered body and a bag of other things as well. They lay the body out and open it up, and it's the thing is that Terrence, she actually remembered this kid.
Oh, I know him.
Do you remember seeing him in Cairo? He liked to come watch you guys fight. What's
this bloke's name again?
His last name is John Stone.
John.
He was a Corporal John Stone.
So, is he covered? Or
as soon as he's laid out there, they uncover the body, so that the doctor can examine him, I guess.
So
and that's when you see the face.
I'll hop over and be like, "Oh, John."
Yeah. They listed him as John Stone. Yeah, he's Corporal Stone.
You knew this boy.
He used to bet on the fights, man.
He gave us some good money.
He did. I think I still have some of it.
Of course, you guys have seen bodies. You've been in the trenches and fighting enough.
Yeah, this
doesn't really shock you or anything.
How are the maids reacting?
They're oddly enough, they seem that they're not reacting any noticeable way either. It's as if maybe this is a common thing they see. What his left leg looks to have literally been ripped off.
Sweet Mary Joseph.
At about the hip. The leg itself is missing. The clothing left of the trouser leg is shredded.
It's a little late to call you Stumpy John.
That's not what killed him, just so you know.
Yeah,
what killed him is, and I turned the body, what killed him is this puncture to the chest, and I pointed out.
2 fingers in there.
Easily.
You got some room.
Yeah, you put 2 fingers in for wiggle around a little bit.
And it's like, and if you do this, and I like put my fingers on the other side, look, it turns him into a Chinese finger trap. Poke, poke.
I feel around for your fingers in his chest cavity. Yeah. Baldrick, come on now. This is let's be respectful for the dead, and I'll wipe his blood on you. Actually,
they say he was found this morning just after sunrise. They had went out to an area. There were some farmers out along the canal who had reported a disturbance just beyond the wall yesterday. And we went out to investigate, and we found him and this, and he takes the bag and he dumps it out, and it's pith helmets, just called pith helmets. There is broken bayonets. There is the stock of an Enfield rifle that's been busted off, and that takes a lot to shatter one of those stocks like that.
Yeah.
And one thing you notice is there is an officer's hat.
I'm gonna pick up that cover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look at the bars on it.
It is as you look at it, you see that it's definitely looks to be a major's cap, possibly. And then on the inside, you see very distinctly written along the deal is Beauchamp.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what I think it is? Because he's kind of trying to look over your shoulder.
Mhm.
Sir, does this mean that the lily-livered off? Sorry, sir, I shouldn't
Spit it
speak
out.
so.
Spit it out.
We've fallen. We lost the battle.
I
Well, if
just
he
kind of
was in
like
command, are we all
dejected. I
that
just dropped
surprised?
the hat on the coffee table. Like, no, actually, I'll drop it on the corpse's chest, and I'll just I will look away, because I mean Terry's English patriotism might get him a little choked up because it dawns on him that they lost, and he'll take a few steps away. Hawkins. Police the body, take what we can. Look at his tags if you still have them.
Oh, I
If-
already took care of that.
Well, it should have his religion stamped on the tags. Obviously, you know what to do, being paramilitary.
Church of England.
I'll do
Set
the
him up
rights.
for a funeral. I need to be alone.
Is
As
is
you
that
were, boys.
Sorry, I
that-
was a little out of line, sir.
He snaps a salute and he walks off.
is that soldier still with us?
Yeah, him, the officer who was with the body when you first got there, Hawkins, in the contraption that you found him in. He's
Mhm.
there, and then the two bearers are there as well.
Does
They're
this look
super
like
Christian.
what some of your Barsunites people, things, forearmed, and he's trying to make? Is this some of any of the people of this world?
This looks as if maybe he was killed by a green Martian. Yes, the leg was probably taken as meat.
By what tribe would you think? You call them tribes?
There are different tribes and clans and hordes. There are several small tribes around that aren't allied. That especially if they find red Martians outside the walls, they will, especially in small groups, they tend to attack and take what they want. So that
So
may
you
have
can't-
happened here. I don't think that's what happened here, actually, though. There were green Martians found in the area, but I don't think they were the ones who actually killed this person.
I'm going to put this as politely as I can. What we need
Mhm.
is a name, a location, and our weapons.
I can ask about that, but I do. I actually am having someone else brought up here that might actually give you an answer. And just shortly after that, there's a rap at the door. One of the soldiers opens it and looks out, and then looks in and sees that Terrence isn't there, and looks to his commander, and he nods and tells him, "Bring him on in." The door opens, and they come in with a 12-foot tall green Martian who's bound. And they have basically pikes that they're using to sort of prod him in.
And as he's coming in, Fergal's already been sitting there clenching and unclenching his fists because he's pissed. He's itching for a fight. He's just kind of, he's boiling because he wants to fight. And he feels like he's been separated, and there's all these swirling emotions going on in his head because we could have been there. We could have, and he's not even thinking, okay, how would three of us make any difference? But beyond that, he's frustrated. And so he turns and squares off with that Martian.
Yeah.
And he says in English, "Take the chains off."
And I'm going to yell out for Terrence. Hey, Terrence.
Okay.
And I'm going to yell.
Yeah.
Hey, Terrence, the one who killed the boys here, you want to crack at him or should I?
Yeah. And you hear in your apartment, you hear Fergal say, "Take the chains off of him," at the top of his voice, sounding much deeper than he normally would. This is a very, very mad young man.
There's my Irish wolfhound.
Mhm.
And then
Very, very cold.
But I said it in
very
English,
quietly.
and because I just clicked back to English.
The door of his apartment will open, and is there like a balcony up there?
Yes,
that I can
there's a railing you can actually walk over to and look down upon this scene. And it said you see Fergal basically standing in front of this giant, this green giant that has its arms bound behind him. And you have, of course, Hawkins is there next to him, and this, to your eye from above, this green Martian looks defeated, as if you've seen. You've been in campaigns where a prisoner of war has been taken. And he just looks utterly defeated.
So I know he can't. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He's
right.
done.
No, he's not going to be a threat to anybody. They could probably take his chains off, and
he's harmless.
Yeah. He's not going to hurt any of you.
So I'm leaning on the ledge, and I see this, and I'm gonna dent the dent the railing there.
Yeah.
And I'm
you definitely
I was gonna have you beat him, but he's look at him, he's useless.
He's not useless, says the captain. Says
he's useless to himself. Hawkins? He's seen shit, and I know he's seen it, and I know you know he has. Get some fucking information out of this git.
Yes, sir. Hey, Fergal, do you mind helping me? And I say this just calm and happy.
Not here. Just you lot take him somewhere cold, dark, and quiet and get information out of him.
Oh, we will. Fergal?
What? And looking up at him, sizing up the situation, do I think that I could possibly have a shot at it? No pun intended.
Well, you're about half his size.
Right.
His arms are corded with the muscle. Normally, you would probably be terrified if this guy would literally maul you. He could literally step on you and break you in half.
But I am overconfident.
Yes.
And I'm Irish.
and you're angry, so it's not the size of the dog in the
and
fight.
I'm stubborn as well.
Well, and you've also seen what you can do as far as when you got up out of the bed this morning, you bent a metal bar that was as thick around as your pointer finger.
Yeah. So with that in mind,
you think
agility,
you would at least give him a good run for his money.
And I'm used to being outmatched.
Yeah,
because I'm already a short Irishman.
That is true.
And I look up at, I'm looking at Hawkins, and I'm like, can I loosen him up?
Yes.
Not here.
No, I answer yes.
Hold on. Hold on just a second here.
No problem.
You guys go ahead and RP.
Got it. My reply will be yes. My flaws, as you guys know, are bloodthirsty and vengeful, so yes.
Well, and
loosen him up however you feel is fit.
But not here in the apartment. This is
yes, here.
Well,
wherever
actually,
you feel pleasant.
No.
Smarts wise, private. Yeah, that's a good point.
True.
Okay, he looks then into the jet of the crew there or whatever.
There, yeah.
Of the yellow, whatever, whoever they sent, right?
And
with
the red Martians there, yeah.
Yes.
So I look to him and I send the question of it's appropriate to box here.
It is. It is appropriate to. There are arenas of sport. Yes. I mean, if you would like to face off against him in one of the arenas, we can have our doctors administer to him and bring him back to his proper fighting trim. It'd be dishonorable to do it now. He's injured and
before they
there'd be no sport.
Before they bring him back to his fighting shape, do you mind if we talk to him first?
As you wish. Yes, that's why I brought him here, so you can.
I don't think
ask him what he knows.
I don't think you understand. The sergeant has gave us an order. We must obey.
Yes.
We need a quiet place.
We can take you down to the. We can take you down to the holding cells.
Thank you.
Okay.
Fergal, Terrence, would either of you prefer to accompany me, or would you rather I do this alone?
Take
Your
Fergal
choice.
with you.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Virgo.
I just walk over there and grab the chain
Okay.
and start dragging him.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. He follows behind you. At first, he stumbles a little bit, and you see, if you're paying attention to him, his eyes get a little big when he realizes how forcefully you tugged on the chain, and then he basically sort of stumbles behind you and follows. And he said, as you're walking down with these fellows, this Martian says, this big green guy says, "Your people fight well. They're fierce."
Save it.
He shuts up and looks down on the ground.
I guess it doesn't say much for you though, because you're the one in chains.
You see him flex against the chains a bit. And he said, "I'll give a good account of you myself if I'm set free of these things."
I look forward to it, and I grip the chain so it causes it to, because I can right now. Right?
Yeah.
I can get it to.
Yeah. You actually feel the chain self bend in your hand a little bit.
I'm actually opening up my notebook, taking my pencil, and Fergal will probably, because we're walking close to each other, notice that I am drawing a picture with question marks and little lines pointing out parts of anatomy that I haven't seen on this yet.
As a doctor at that time, you're probably a halfway decent artist, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to sketch out body parts and things like that.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sketching.
I think the Willie's a lot larger than that.
Oh,
I'm
no.
seeing in English right now.
So you're led down to these holding cells, which are actually subterranean.
We'll have to take it off first to check.
Okay.
And I say that back to Fergal in English.
Okay.
And you're taken to a cell. He is let out of his chains and shoved into this cell, and a light is brought in for you. And one of the fellows says, "Are you the Jasumian questioner?" Who looks at you, Hawkins.
Yes.
Do you need any assistance or any additional tools from what you have?
No.
As you wish. They close the door behind the two of you or three of you, and this Martian, he's sort of rubbing his arms, the uppers and lowers. You notice that they actually move independently, so it looks a little odd to you there. And he looks at you and he says, "I have been captured by the Red Martians. You are their allies. What do you wish to know?"
Hey, Fergal. Do we question him now, or do you want to rough him up first? Your choice.
So you're just gonna freely offer up the information, sell your people out.
I have been captured. I am now owned by the Red Martians.
Oh.
It would be, I would be a pox upon my people if I did not act in an honorable way while being held captive.
Well, fuck. He says
is
that in English, and he looks over at Hawkins and he says, "He's gonna fucking gammy up, meaning give us everything. He's just gonna."
We can't be sure about this. He could easily be lying. We must soften him up just to make sure.
You can see Fergal calculating it. It's like, I'm punching a chained up guy.
Oh, he's not chained up anymore.
Now he's been let out of chains. So, but he's it's almost as if the Red Martians understood that this guy, he wasn't going to attack.
So
you see the struggle that Fergal's going along with. He's like, he's basically,
he wants to beat the guy up, but at the same time, it's like
he wants him to resist it and try to.
I have one question for you. You say we own you, correct?
Yes.
That means you must obey my command, right?
Yes.
Punch me.
Oh, dear Lord.
He hauls off and punches you.
Now you're free, Fergal.
Well, I mean, let me do this real quick. And Yeah. What's your parry?
Let me look at that.
Yeah.
6.
He hit you. So let me see here.
Yeah, but you gave him order, Corporal.
Now he resisted.
I mean, your what's your toughness?
6.
He hits you, but he apparently doesn't have enough oomph at the moment to actually cause you any harm.
I'm going to look over to Fergal. I'm giving you an order. He resisted. Feel free.
Okay.
You have a gleam in your eyes, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
That
at the same
bloodthirsty's
time, it's
coming
like-
out.
Yeah.
He feels bad about it because at the same time he's following the order, but he still realized he
The
saw it.
only order I gave you is to say he resisted. Now you're free to do whatever you want. He hit me first.
Yeah.
All right, so I am going to square up then, and
Okay. He looks at you and he says, "Do you wish me to resist?" Yes, that's you, Fergal.
I pop him in the head.
Okay. He takes it. Go ahead and he doesn't even try to get out of the way. So,
At least,
although you have to
Sure.
actually jump up actually to punch him in the head because he's 12 feet tall. So
taking all the fun out of it.
he asked you, "Do you wish me to resist?"
Yes, resist him.
Yes.
Okay. So after that first blow, he stumbles back and gets into it's sort of a bizarre fighting stance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the upper arms are almost like trying to box, and the lower arms are spread wide as if looks like he might be trying to grapple at the same time. And he crouches down, so his head's probably about 3 feet above yours. At this point, he does square off. So
I'm taking notes, by the way.
I'm going to do this real quick, just because this technically would be a initiative issue. Let's see.
I'm taking a massive amount of notes on how this fight is going.
Okay. I'm going to share the screen real quick.
Terrence might or might not be pissed off when we come back upstairs.
So 5 of spades for you there, Fergal. He gets queen of diamonds.
Oh,
So
Very
you go to square up against him, and he actually rushes forward and tries to grab you.
Okay.
He stumbles a bit. He just his arms, you're able to basically bob out of his way easily. You only work 3. It's obvious he's almost on his last legs as it is. He's hurt, but he's still trying. So what do you do, sir?
Feel like I'm shooting fish in a barrel. Where is? I'm looking up feint because I just got feint. Well,
Okay.
Didn't he go to hit me?
Yeah, he went to hit you, but he lunged forward to grab you, but he only rolled a 3, so he missed you.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
Basically, to do a feint, it'll be a smarts test. You basically roll a smarts check, and if you succeed, you're basically having him shaken effectively. So.
Okay, so that would be after, or I can't do it early on, right?
You can do it now, yeah.
Okay.
And
So
on your
I'm
next
gonna-
attack, so
And that's going to be a smarts test.
yes.
With fighting or not fighting?
Just smarts, straight smarts. Unless you have a specific skill feint, which I don't think we actually have in the.
Well, I took an edge for feint.
Oh,
I'm
then
just
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
find what book it's in.
Oh, it should be in the main Savage Rules book.
I have the deluxe open. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
It should be in there. In the deluxe book. Let me see.
There it is. All right. Novice, fighting D8 plus. When performing a test with the fighting skill, you can choose to make the foe resist with smarts instead of agility.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'm still attacking, but it's
Just
feinting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and basically, instead of him being able to, normally you would do a dodge in a situation like that. let's say if you're doing a grapple, so he can't use his agility. He has to, like, what the heck's he doing?
Right.
So I'm assuming you're bobbing and weaving.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually feint that I'm like he's actually going to get the grapple, and then at the last second I'm going to duck down under. Am I short enough to duck between his legs? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to duck down between his legs and just punch him as hard as I can, jump up and hit him in the back of the head.
Okay. So.
Okay, so I got a 10, and then so I rolled it again, and so I got a 13 total on the
Okay.
fighting.
So yeah, so you actually get 2 raises. So you go to slap up with his legs, and it's like he loses sight of you for a moment, and he sort of leans back and he turns around as you jump up to punch him square in the face. So do me your damage will be strength plus 2d6 because you had 2 raises.
Okay. Very good.
Now, one thing you can also do, by the way, is if you choose to, you can actually reduce that damage by 1d6, and you can impose a penalty on him. You can say he got knocked down, or you can say he's he's staggered or stunned. So you can actually do that if you wish instead.
I'd like to get him staggered.
Okay.
So the total would be just the D8 then for my strength?
Well, strength plus 1d8 or 1d6. So d8 plus d6.
Gotcha.
Because you had 2 races. So.
Okay, so total of 7 points of damage.
Okay. You punch him squarely in the jaw, and he staggers back against the wall, and you can actually see. I mean, if it was a guy that you were normally fighting, you definitely would have rang his bell. He's up against the wall, and he's obviously staggered. So
what do you know?
Over here. Are you going to continue the combat, or are you just going to let him be staggered at the moment? Because
I'm just calling that out while they're fighting. I'm calling out questions to make it sound like we're still questioning him. I don't expect him to answer.
Oh.
He said I did not slay your companions. I only put the one out of his misery.
So you still killed him?
He was dying anyway.
Continue fighting, Fergal. I'm quite enjoying this.
Wait.
If you want.
So you put him you saved him from pain in the moment of death.
Yeah.
How so?
I was attracted by his screams of pain. I can understand the words he spoke, for he did not have the voice of Barsoom, but I could tell by the way he was by the way he was weakly lying there, one of his appendages removed, his odd red blood leaking out of the sand. He was not long for this world.
And the rest of them?
There were no others.
And why did you not try to patch him up?
There was no need. He would not have survived. A man with one leg cannot hunt.
You said the others were Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm going to he's been he opened his palms and he starts backing up, and he stands next to Hawkins and he says, "Sir, in English he's speaking. He says, I can't in good conscience continue to pummel this man. That's considering he's telling us completely the truth. There's no point in other just beating him down.
You did a good job. Thank you for what you did.
I appreciate that.
It
sounds like this is an honorable warrior here.
If you have a good conscience, you may want to turn around for a second and think happy thoughts. In English.
I disagree with that. I think that I consider this warrior to have fought honorably. Anyway,
In that case, I'll give him an honorable death. Sound fair to you?
we can't kill him.
Why not? He's our property. He claimed so. Is
I
it
think-
not ours to choose what to do with him?
Terry said that we were supposed to bring him back alive.
I heard nothing of what Terry said.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're about to create an international incident,
Fine. I'll
An-
leave
an
him
intercon-
alive. Deal.
interplanetary incident.
I'll leave him
I think that's
alive.
what they call it.
I'm going to walk up to the green man, look him in the eyes. You're lucky my comrades are not letting me kill you right now, for that is all I want to do. I want to
In
make
ways-
that clear to you.
In ways, I would welcome it.
However, I do have one request.
Yes.
I want your tooth.
Okay. You see him look at you. He pauses for a moment and looks down and he says, I did kill one of your warriors. You do deserve payment. And
Much appreciated.
he rears back his head and slams it against the wall, breaking off one of his tusks. He actually has tusks that actually can protrude from his mouth just a bit. He
Mhm.
breaks one off, reaches down, picks it up, and hands it to you.
I appreciate this. And I will tell you something. And I'm going to lean forward and whisper this to him. Should you ever wish for death, you think that the Red Martians will not give it to you? Summon me. I will give it to you.
Thank you, he says. I will remember this kindness you offer me.
And I'll walk up to Virgil. You ready to go? Holding this tusk.
The green Martian flops against the back wall, and he says, "May the warriors of Donga be as courteous to yours as you have been to me today."
I hope so too. And where did you say our men were?
Donga took them.
Understood.
I watched their sky ship come in. There was a brief battle. The Zidongans and your people fought. He holds up, but both of his main hands and one of his lesser hands holds them out. You notice these guys have 4 fingers, 3 fingers and a thumb. And he says there were that many, and he says a word that roughly translates into basically like a 3-person team,
Okay.
which would be basically about the right number for the company you guys are following behind when you basically ran up the hill to charge the forest. So they fought well, but they were eventually subdued. Several were killed. This one was left behind.
So you're not Zidongan.
No,
You didn't fight these men.
I did not. I am a Thark.
Okay, so you put him out of, and I say in English, sir, his troops did not kill us.
His people tried to kill us, unless you forget.
But Irish, French, the fucking French.
Yeah, well,
Think
You
about it
know-
like that, it's a location thing.
people try to kill us, we take revenge. Is that not how it always goes? Axis, allies.
Central Powers allies, you mean? Okay.
Virgil's just thinking, I'm a private in all of this.
And I'm going to look at Fergal. When we get back to the barracks, you finally get to tell the sergeant yours is bigger than his. And I wave the tusk at him.
Zidongans.
I'm going to knock on the cell door.
Okay, the guard outside opens the door.
We have questioned him thoroughly. He has given us the answers. He is injured.
And staggered.
Treat
We
him
will-
well.
We will call a physician who understands his people, and they usher you out of the room, taking the light with them, by the way, and close the door behind you.
They don't raise a fuss about the tusk or anything?
No.
All right.
So you're led back up to the apartments.
Mhm.
You get there to find the servant ladies are actually washing the body. So I'll give it as they explain, they're giving it proper honors,
Appreciate it.
cleaning it off. You know, their honors up to a certain point would follow these kind of proceedings, and they probably asked Sergeant Hawthorne if it was okay to do so, to clean him.
They have my leave.
And you're also notice they're actually using an actual bowl of water.
That's
Something
good.
you haven't seen used in cleaning here. So, and they're wiping the body down, cleaning off all the blood and the grime, getting the uniform sort of off of him so that he can be properly, wrapped and cleaned and dressed or whatnot.
When they come back, like I said, I'm making myself presentable for that dinner meeting with the Jeddak. He's cleaned, he's bathed, his clothes are washed. And I mean, obviously the serving girls are probably going to ask to want to help or do something for him. So
Yes.
he's going to actually ask Keel, the gal he was talking to before. Terry's basically gonna like begrudgingly go, all right, I suppose you can put my hair in a braid,
Okay.
put it up and do something so he doesn't look like a brigand.
Okay. She does that, and actually as she does that, she starts applying some kind of oil to it as well that has a pleasant scent to it, and it is reminiscent of sandalwood.
Oh,
And she
all right.
and she says it will help the braid to stay in place. And you feel her she's gentle, but she's obviously firm with braiding the hair.
Good.
I
direct her to give me a precise braid as
she
the
does.
boys come in.
She
All right,
does.
lads, what do you have for us?
I hand the tusk to Fergal, clear as day in front of Terrence. Got a blood price. Just smiling. And it's
All
bigger
right.
than yours.
Fergal's not laughing.
And
Information.
This is
Can't really remember what it is. Fergal, do you remember anything he said? All I remember is my promise to kill him if he wanted it. Oh, and my interesting anatomy. I just start writing down the notes.
Sir. That's by your leave. He's looking at Hawkins.
Yeah.
You told me to go, and then you're by your leave, man.
Yeah.
Says, this alien creature,
the green one. That's a Thark, I think.
yeah, explained that he and his tribe came upon the remnants, this stone, and after the battle, and he was left for dead, and this one put Stone out of his misery because he was in pain and knew he would not live.
So where the hell's the rest of our column?
So they were captured by a tribe of people, a group of Red Martians, I think,
All right.
called Zedonkan. They rounded him up and took him in an airship to...
I'm going to reach up and I'm going to take Keel's hand as she's messing with my hair. Just going to stop her.
Actually, as soon as he said to Dongan, she actually paused.
Yeah, I'm also, I'm going to grab her hand, going to very gently move it, and I'm going to stand.
Mm-hmm.
You look smashing, sir.
Very
Ah,
beautiful, like a
well.
young woman in her prime. Still
Right.
writing my notes, not paying attention.
Sorry. Please continue, sir.
He just kind of like interesting. So the company before us on Gallipoli,
Mhm.
what you're saying is they came through the fog and they ended up here.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
No,
the
I
words
he's
that the Thark have said this. No, and he's just reiterating. I'm just saying that that's what I'm to believe, sir. And he seemed very forthcoming. He was not withholding anything.
We beat him up to make sure we got the correct information.
Yeah.
He
Interesting.
resisted.
I can obviously tell that you're lying, Hawkins.
Yes.
Of course, you expect anything different.
Yes.
I expect you to be on your best behavior here, because if you get us in trouble, I will kill you myself.
That was my best behavior, sir. I didn't kill him.
Well,
Thank Fergal for that one.
Yeah.
That's why Fergal's just staying quiet. The officers are arguing, even if they are NCOs.
So
I think that we should
this
retrieve
Thark,
them.
yeah.
Oh, agreed.
And it sounds like this Thark would help us.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to poke my head up from my notes. He did say that death would be preferred, and I was quite honorable for offering it to him. So apparently I was obeying some laws. Go back to writing notes.
Interesting. It's just kind of like the whole politics situation. Is kind of like clicking into Terry's head here.
And from a different angle, Fergal's political, because he's dealt with these in gang situations. He's seeing the gang, the rivals and everything. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah.
or yeah.
It's very, yeah. If you put it in gang perspective, yeah, this all these are all different rival gangs, as far as you're concerned.
Right.
I'm gonna sit back down and I'll let Keel go about her business, but he's
Mhm.
thinking, being very quiet.
Okay.
It's kind of like simmering there. He's
Well, how about this? Since we are at a certain time here, why don't you give me a soliloquy on what you think at the moment, and I'll go get the soliloquy from the others as well.
you're starting with Terry. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, no. Lynx, put your 2 cents in
Oh,
here.
I was just about to say, because we're sitting so close together, you guys can probably see that Hawkins is actually crying into his notebook. He's just not making it audible. This is his way of dealing with grief. One of his own is gone.
Fair enough. So, looking into Terry's head, as that servant girl goes back to playing with his hair, and actually making himself look presentable for their dinner date with the other nobles. Terry kind of thinks back to like the handful of times where his grandfather had entertained other well-to-do English people at their estate, or when at a different estate when Terry was a boy and brought along. So everything that's falling into place is, again, he has to play a somewhat landed dignitary of his own English stock, and all he is concerned about is getting he and his boys home and this this revelation of the fact that they actually did, in fact, lose at Gallipoli is there is a fury in him that their major just sent them into just like lambs to the slaughter. Clearly he did not care or did not read the situation tactically whatsoever, but he and his boys are now displaced. And what sounds like is the column that charged up the beach and into the forest ahead of them also met somewhat of a similar fate. And he kind of takes like a few moments to dwell on that, like ever so slight revenge, like, well, I want to get back at this bastard who set this up. But the fact that evidently that Major's cover is gone, or so, yeah, is bloodied and on the coffee table there, he's just like, oh well, good riddance, you got your comeuppance. But also to come to find out that they are now playing guests at a neutral city-state that wants to be separate from both the heliometric people and the Zidongans now. Terry personally feels that, at least for him and his boys, they as their dugout, we don't have the luxury of staying neutral, because it is extending Terry's virtue to his dugout or his squad. He is extending that further to the remnants of the company that they were attached to. We got to go home, and if they have them in fetters, then Zidonga is effectively now Terry's enemy, and he fully is aware that that is not going to look well on actually look good on the well-being of he and his troopers. So he's keeping everything almost eerily, painfully quiet, and he's ignoring a lot of the back chat. It's not worth the energy to react emotionally at this time. He's trying to very much keep a cool head, and if he's at all radiating any of this, the girl playing with his hair is yeah, she can probably taste that. But Terry will, after a very, very long pause, he's going to say in English to his companions, we might be caught between a rock and a hard place, and that hard place is the local politics that we technically have no allegiances to. Remember, boys, your vow is to King George. He is not a Jedak. And I am expecting you to have enough wits about you so we can all go home.
Very good there.
Again, he'll just
As he's
quiet.
staring into his book, writing his notes there, with tears blurring his eyes quietly, what do we see in Hawkins' mind?
What's going through Hawkins' mind and what's probably coming off him is a feeling of burning hatred and revenge. He's not even attempting to hide that. What started out as I'm going to go home, I'm going to protect everybody, I'm going to be the good medic, is slowly devolving into we have to get back at those who hurt our people. They took out the entire company of his own countrymen. of those who fought alongside him at Gallipoli. And now his two comrades are being threatened just by the state of politics. And while Hawkins is a smart man, he'd never paid much attention to the politics side of things. His nose was always in a medical textbook. So his mind is going from, let's be the hero, let's keep everybody safe, to how am I going to take out each and every person who holds those men hostage? And how am I going to extract revenge? So a hatred, what started off as loyalty to King George and his men, is starting, the hatred and bloodlust is starting to boil over that, just starting very slowly to edge over that.
Yeah, very good there, Hawkins there. And what do we see in Fergal's mind at this point?
Fergal's mind, he remembers a conversation with his Da, and his Da was explaining to him the things that are important that we need to live by and the dealings of those that we work with. After a major incident had occurred, he's recalling his father explaining to him why so many of his cousins were found bloodied in the streets. He broke 3 rules that we live by. And he's speaking of the other family leader. He went after his wife. He didn't respect the new family appointment. And he took money that was not his. Now, this is important because if we don't respect these values between the families, then all is naught. This blow will not go unanswered. We must all bind together until this is over. And stepping back, swirling through the conversations that he's had and all the dealings and the way he's worked these rules and code into understanding how military life works. The best way that he could understand it is this is, blood against blood. This is my group and this is their group, and I'm fighting for my homeland, and these are my people. And while I'm out here, this is my family. And he's relying on that. And he's torn in his heart because he realizes that he feels that he's done something wrong against this warrior, because he was living by his code and was being forthright and honest, which is actually another one of his codes, is always tell the truth. And so he's torn because he respects Corporal Hawkins greatly, but he feels that it was mishandled in this situation, but he doesn't know how to speak up because he doesn't want to cause a rift. But finally, he just yields it to fuel the passion toward revenge, also realizing the skill that the 3 of them hold. Because stepping out fourth wall, he is overconfident, and he feels very sure of the 3 of us and our capabilities. And if they're not going to help us, that's fine. We'll get them back. At least that's what he's thinking as he is looking away.
Excellent there. As our scene drops on our heroes here, another light comes up in a different room in a different city, far away. You see a red Martian in the trappings of a warrior of Zidanga, fairly high ranking. 2 men come into the room where he is sitting. One has skin the color of the midnight sky. The clothing he's wearing is very elaborate and very much different from the Red Martians. And he has next to him, bound, a man in the uniform of a major in the British Army. He roughly forces the man into a seat. Fellow's head is bandaged, blood leaking through on one spot on the side of his head. His eyes are glazed. And this red Martian leans back to take a sip of a drink that he has on his table, sits it down and says, I understand you're the leader of these men from Jassoon. And the major says, yes, I am their commanding officer. He says, I demand that you treat them with respect as should be given to soldiers of King George's royal rifles. And the fellow looks at him and says, I do not know your King George. He has not given me any reason to honor anything. But I do wish to know things from you. And he waves, and a soldier comes over. One of the soldiers comes over with a something in his hands. And he sits in front of him. One of the heavy guns. One that Terrence would be very, very familiar with the inner workings of. And he says, tell me of this. How does it fire so rapidly? And the major looks down and says, you don't know this? This is simple technology. And he smiles and he says, I'll discover the underlying mechanisms of this. And if you wish your men to not be harmed, you will assist me. The major looks, you see a look of, at first, defiance on his face, and his back stiffens. And he begins to alter, he starts to say that no, my loyalty is only to, and as he does that, he's struck across the face by this black Martian to shut him up. And the Martian says, you will comply. For if you do not tell us, we will take it directly from your mind. We have machines that will suck your brain dry and leave you a drooling husk. But he leans down to this fellow and gets right in his face, into the major's face. He says, we will not start with you. We will start with the least of your men. He'll be first. We'll suck him dry, know everything he knows. And then the next man in your hierarchy, and so forth and so on, and make you watch every single one of them suffer the same fate. Or you can spare them and tell us what we want. And the major leans back for a moment, and he says, you need to go down to wherever you're holding us, and you need to get Sergeant Dawkins. He knows the inner workings of these things. Well, unless you happen to have Sergeant Hawthorne here. Either one of them would be able to tell you what you need to know about these weapons. And the fellow nods and says, thank you. For that, your men will eat tonight. And he motions to one of the guards at the door. Take him back to his men. Make sure they're well fed. And he says, remember, the more you cooperate, the more comfortable your stay here will be. And with that, the major is let out, and our curtain closes. And come on back next week, folks, for the third episode of Upon the Blood Red Sand. Thank you for joining us tonight, and you have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, all. And